Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Miguel. Today you're going to be watching my full free course. I used to sell this for 3K to 4K along with a couple other things. So that being said, you're getting access to this for the free. This is the same exact course that helped Bader go from 0 to 18K a month, which you can find on this channel, and also helped Jalen go from 0 to 5K a month, Ty go from 0 to 8K a month. And yeah, it's the same information that's allowed me to go from, working as a warehouse worker, working at the golf course, working in corporate sales, to now living in Thailand, having made 17K in a single month. So if you want to help implementing this more so one-on-one and getting direct guidance from me, you can go ahead and book a call down below, as well as a little bit more bonus information. But that being said, this information right here is basically everything you need to get to 5K a month. So hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think. Make sure to connect with the Instagram as well down below. Hey, what's going on? It's Miguel here, and today we're going to be going over the foundations of high ticket sales. The objective here is to understand the ecosystem of high ticket sales so you can see exactly how money is made, what rules exist, and where you can plug in based on your current skill level and your income goals. Now, you do see the word high ticket thrown around a lot. So what's the actual definition? It's selling products or services priced between $2,000 and even above $50,000. Right? Some examples would be business coaching, marketing agency retainers, done-for-you services, consulting programs, and then SaaS, software as a service, with high annual contract value. And why it matters is that you don't need 1,000 customers to make a lot of money. A few sales a month can be life-changing, right? And then as a sales rep, you getting 10% of these sales make some life-changing money as well. For example, if you're selling for a company doing $200,000 a month, you get half of the sales, right? Take 10% of that, that's $10,000 a month. Okay, so that's why high ticket is super valuable. And you can also classify high ticket as the freelance space. So freelance is basically 1099. If you're in the United States, what that basically means is you are a contractor and you don't have a base pay, a salary, a W-2, which allows you to have more freedom and get higher percentages. Right? So here's the high ticket ecosystem breakdown. These are the type of offers you'll commonly work with. You have coaches and influencers where you'll sell digital education, masterminds, or transformation programs. You have consultants help businesses solve specific pain points, examples being helping them with their sales, their operations, or their hiring process. And then you have info products. These are just pre-built courses, typically with coaching or community. They're kind of merged with the coaching and influencers, right? And then you have agencies, which are like done-for-you services. Agencies, just think of agency as done for you business function, right? So social media marketing agency, done for you social media marketing. Content, done for you content. Ads, done for you ads, done for you SEO, done for you UGC, etc. Right? This is something creator. I don't even know UGC. User generated content. I'm stupid. So then you go to SaaS companies. Sell software with a high LTV, which is lifetime value. This is more common in B2B roles. Okay, so these are the different type of industries you can work in. Right? Pretty much, we'll be mainly focusing on the coaching, influencers, consultants, info space, but you can go into the agency and software route. I do see people absolutely crush it on a commission-only basis in both of these as well. So here's your income path options, right? So first you have a setter. Your role is the first point of contact, having DM conversations on the influencers' accounts, qualifying leads, and booking calls. Okay, so the earning potential here is between 2K to 5K a month as a beginner. Okay, but if you're a really good performing setter, I've seen setters even make 5 to 10K and even 15K a month. But you can expect that 2 to 5K a month per role. You stack two of these, there you go, right? This is a really good for a beginner option if you're brand new to sales or if you've only been an SDR for a limited period of time and you're not like super confident in getting into closing, then this is more than what likely going to be your starting point. Okay, you don't want to be here forever, but it's still good. And then you have closer, right? Your role is to take calls, handle objections, and close deals. Earning potential is 5K to 20K plus a month. All right, me and my top month as a closer, I made 17K. I had consistent months between $10,000 to $15,000 a month, and I've been on teams with closers making towards 40. All right, so the pay structure is commission-based. 10 to 20% is typical, or a base plus commission, but you're usually seeing commission-based. And this is ideal for strong communicators who want high upside. So these are for people who feel like they have the skill set, they're ready to make a transition, or if you've already been closing before, account executive coming from another space, you can easily make this transition. And then lastly, this isn't something this program focuses on, but I'll have a bonus module at the end going over this a little bit. But growth operators. The role is to own systems, manage the teams, and optimize revenue. Earning potential is 10K, 30K plus a month, including equity, right? You can easily get to 100K, 200K a month with this. but definitely easily can get to 10 to 30K a month off of one client. And usually you can stack 4, 5, 10 clients this way. And this is ideal for strategists with experience in sales and ops. So once you get really good at closing, and you maybe start managing sales offers, right? And then you go from there, you can then go into growth operator. All right. So I probably could have put sales manager here, but I wanted to merge sales manager with growth operator simply because once you become a sales manager, it's not too hard to get into growth operating. You just have to learn a couple of different operational things, and you can make this transition. So ultimately, I don't want y'all thinking like, okay, I'm coming in as a setter, then I can become a closer, and it stops there. No, you have so many opportunities, whether you want to get into the business model of one of your influencers you're working for, like e-com, day trading, right? Or if you say, hey, look, I want to stay within the space and utilize my skill set and just stack maybe another skill or two on top of it, then you can make a lot of money, right? Growth operators, I know many of them making 500K a month. Not many, but there's a couple out there making 500K a month, 300K a month. You're not seeing closers do that, right? So then we go to the sales funnel. This is how the pipeline works from cold to closed. All right, so we have cold leads as someone who doesn't know the offer exists yet. Then you have warm leads as they've seen content, visited a funnel, or responded to a DM. Okay, then you have a setter who then books the call, pre-frames and qualifies. A closer runs the call, diagnoses the problem and closes, and then client pays and is onboarded to the offer. All right, so super simple. A lead either comes in cold, who doesn't know the offer exists yet, right? And you're pitching them, and like in a cold DM, like, or you're on the phone cold calling, or you have a warm lead who they've seen content, visit a funnel, responded to a DM, and then you book them in as a setter, right? Pre-framing them, getting them ready for the call. We send them over marketing material, which gets them further nurtured. And then the closer, hopefully they already know who you are, like and trust. We've positioned you properly. You have the right authority if you're on a good offer, have a good pitch, and then the client pays and is onboarded onto the offer. And then everything else is handled by the offer owner. Okay, so in the info space, we also consider cold traffic being ads and then warm traffic being organic. But we just in general, cold leads, warm leads are defined by this way. So your job is to get really good at each stage or specialize in one, depending on your goals. If you want to eventually become a growth operator, I would recommend understanding every single component here, every single part of the buying journey. So that way, whenever you transition in the closing, and then you eventually come into growth operating, you understand every component, right? If you go straight in the closing without having ever set, it's going to be hard to relay that and coach someone who's looking to set for you if you've never done it. So that being said, that's about all here. Your action items is going to be pick the income path that makes the most sense for your skills today. If you're already in the program, we had our onboarding call, we'll probably chat about this a little bit. Or identify 3 offers or industries that excite you the most. Complete your client tracker if you're already booking calls. I do have that obviously attached to the outreach guide if you want to go look there. And then you can DM your coach if you have questions about which role to aim for first, or on our onboarding call. We'll talk about this a little bit more in depth once you've filled that out. That being said, hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, once again, don't hesitate to reach out. And see you on the other side. Hey, what's going on? This is the Upwork guide. So we're just going to be going over how you can use Upwork to land roles. Now, being transparent, Upwork is the most underrated platform. Reason for that is because the competition is so minimal and the sophistication of the employers are low. What I mean by that is they aren't burnt out by people within info, within like Instagram platforms like that, right? So for example, the offer I'm on right now, it's a drop shipping offer, got that off of Upwork. Now I'm direct contact with the offer owner, has me involved with marketing. I'm probably going to be managing the sales team, and it's going to be a probably long-term relationship, long-term ordeal. Multiple 5-figure months, hopefully, off of this offer, right? In combination with the sales coaching, that was because of Upwork. Okay. People have made millions on Upwork. It's a very great platform if you do it right. So how do we stand out? First, we start with the profile setup. Okay. So I'll come over to my Upwork profile. Now, it's crazy because you're going to see my Upwork profile. This isn't even optimized for sales because I was doing I've optimized it for like AI agency when I was running that. And I was still getting roles. Okay, so this is the above the fold, by the way. So every single thing above this little dotted line right here, for example, this is what's going to be shown. So we want to optimize for above the fold. All right, so that's why here in this template, we have, hi, I'm XYZ name, a high ticket closer, generated over whatever your results are. right? For a Fortune 500 recruiting company through a mix of automation, cold outreach, direct sales. Now, this is something you would obviously tailor directly for high ticket closing, right? So, this is a version that was tailored for a different, domain, but you could do cold outreach, direct sales, prospecting, right? So what the flow of this is with what you are, right? So if you're a high ticket closer, put that here, okay? Or you could just put a closer, or you could put account executive, which is the same thing as closing, or you can put a setter, or you can put SDR, sales development representative, all the same thing, right? And then you put any numbers you have, if you generated any. That's the next steps. Who you did it for, and how you did it. Okay, then you can elaborate on different things you've done that may not necessarily be exactly revenue generating, right? If you've invested in the sales coaching, you can implement that here as well. Okay, and then you can list out some of your intangibles at the end, and then boom, there you go. So go through that flow one more time. It's one, how much revenue you've generated, if any numerical number, who you did it for, how you did it, any additional things that you did that weren't numerical based, your approach to sales, okay, your methodology. If you've invested in sales training, put that here. And then at the end, just a call to action, once again, to highlighting some intangibles, right? So that would be how you set up your profile. Now, this is obviously a little bit longer. If you want to take a glimpse at this and use this as an example, you can, but that's basically the flow of it, okay? So also, a title would be high ticket closer, account executive, appointment setter. This is obviously whatever role you want to use, and you would be using that here, right? Just AI developer, process engineer, all of that. And then you see here the hour. You can edit your hourly rate. Put something that's uneven so that it catches eyes. I put 67.42. You probably put like 237.57, something like that. And then the bio, put, you can open with numbers you've done and how you did it, call to action, which is obviously what we said. Super simple, nothing too complex. And then you go to the unlisted YouTube video intro. So this is a 1 to 2 minute unlisted YouTube video attached to your proposals. It can even be shorter, right? This is the template here. Say, hey there, my name is XYZ, what you did, how much you made, very similar to the bio, your background, every industry you've been in and anything relative to high ticket sales, right? Your methodology, if you've invested in the sales training. And then from there, once again, a call to action, kind of highlighting, your intangibles. Okay. So also coming back up here, didn't highlight, make sure your profile photo is professional, clean, confident, good lighting, just you, no group photos. This is an old photo of me that's edited with a green background, a yellow background, right? Something yellow pops, and you could use a professional headshot. Okay. All right. My grandma took that photo in my backyard like years ago, and I was using that shit for like forever until I got new ones recently. So yeah, it's as far as you need there, and it's where you put the YouTube video out. That's right here. Okay. Then obviously the more things you fill out here, the better. And you would just include this video. This is super awkward. This is from my last time in Thailand, as you can see here. But cool. All right. Going into message 3, step 3, messaging strategy. When you find a relevant role, send a quick and professional message like this. Keep it short, confident, under 8 lines. All right. I don't know why it doesn't have my message here. Okay, that's interesting. I literally just dropped this bitch, if you can't tell, from from GPT when I was prompting it. So, hi, XYZ name. My name is this. I've experience in state your relevant background, right? I take a sales, outbound campaign, CRM build-outs, whatever the hell you're doing, which I believe directly relates to your post about whatever it is. I went ahead and recorded a short video to demonstrate some of my experience and share how I approach this role. You can check it out here. So this is super simple. The loom is what's really going to be punchy here. But if you have some numbers you can throw out, any nice backgrounds, right? Go ahead and do it here. All right. So bid strategy. And let's go ahead and find a role itself, by the way. So when you're finding a role, you got to find work if you don't know how to use Upwork already. Once you have the profile set up and you're actually sending out these messages. So you would type in high ticket closer, appointment setter, whatever role it is you're looking for. Coaching offers, dating and health. Right, high ticket closer, 300K plus potential. Another high ticket closer, another high ticket closer, another high ticket sales closer, and there's a lot. Okay. All right. So we can just click on this. All right. Read the bio. Okay, cool. If it doesn't have an OTE, definitely want to get that out of the window, out of the way whenever you're talking to them, right? Then you'd click apply now if the role looks interesting. And then once you're in the role, you would want to do by project. Put a whatever rate, 231, whatever the fuck. Okay. How long is project be? Just less than 1 month. And then this was when you would just drop, copy, and paste this little thing here. Obviously humanize it. Put your Loom video that you would record, and you would just record your Loom video with the job posting to the side like this. And then you would just talk through the job posting and your experience. And if you have any like screenshots or proof you could show, go ahead and do that. All right. Once again, have an uneven number here, like 231, 234.56, and just put it within the confines of what they have, right? So they have a fixed price of 250. Let's make it 236.58. Or if they have a range, put it somewhere on the high end in a weird number. That way it pops. Okay. Then from there, if you have a certificate here, go ahead and do that. If you have any connects you can add, if there was people here bidding, let's say someone had 5 bids here, let's go ahead and put one for 6. Now, if the bids are ridiculous, don't do it, obviously, right? And then you see how much the connects cost here. And then this is where your balance would go. So choose wisely unless you have an unlimited budget to just throw. I do think it's worth spending the money on Upwork because if you think about it, you spend $100 in a month to land a really good role that pays you, 8, 10, 15K a month as a closer. Not a bad ROI. Okay, so you don't have to spend that, but I'm just saying Upwork can be very pay to win in a good way if you do it correctly. And you can even post yourself and run ads to boost your profile if you really wanted to. But yeah, that being said, getting on to the next step, the bid strategy, right? I just went over this. This would be within the top 3 to 5, by the way, and you don't need to necessarily max out your connects. So when I mean top 3 to 5, there's a little ranking here. Okay, let's go down. We'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. Just be in the top 4, really. I said at least 5 proposals per day. If budget allows, pipeline builds. If you record 5 little Loom videos, send them out. You're guaranteed to be on a roll in under a month, making whatever you want. And remember, the volume and consistency wins here, not overspending connects. So just showing up every single day because of outreach, lag, and the compound effect of your inputs. And Loom video tips is just record a 30-60 second Loom video, right? Have your camera in the corner while scrolling the post. Mention 1 or 2 lines about the job and tie it into your experience. If you don't have much to say what you've done and how it aligns. Okay, and then we have an example here. This is the most professional course video ever. All right, cool. Boom. We do this live. Hey, I came across your post for role. Want to share a little bit more about background here. I've helped XYZ. Excited about the opportunity. Really easy. Okay, so then going from there, searching for roles. When you're looking for jobs, search for keywords like account executive, high ticket closer, sales representative, appointment setter, like I kind of showed you already. Avoid listings from Kokong unless you're okay with these roles. What the fuck? I don't even know where this is. Avoid listings unless I don't even, what the hell? Prioritize listings that have detailed, it was cold calling. Right, they put Kokong because I was doing a little audio video. Quick tip. Prioritize listings that have detailed descriptions, come from accounts with multiple job listings, list the company name. Those are higher quality and often legit businesses. Right, and if the company name is visible, check their website or LinkedIn and reach directly out there too, right? And sometimes you won't even need to spend the connects if you just reach out on email or LinkedIn or whatever the hell. Okay, and don't overthink experience required. Even if post has 3 years experience, you can still land the job if you present yourself confidently. And even if you offer to close or set dead leads, you can get your foot in the door and then transition to full-time once you prove your competence. Right? If you never closed before, apply anyway. Many clients don't verify your background. They just care if you sound capable and show up well on the call. All right. Tracking your outreach. Every proposal and message you send should be logged in your outreach tracker. This should include the date applied, role title, link to job post, whether you send a video, outcome, blah, blah, blah. This helps you stay consistent and see what's working. And this is the outreach tracker for reference, which I will have linked. So right here. Boom. Sweet. So I hope this made sense. This was helpful for you all. If you have any questions, obviously just go ahead and drop me a message. And then if we need to go on or if you want to send me your profiles, I will review it for you and make sure it's all dialed in. And from there, if we need to hop on a call and kind of chop it up about this and your Upwork strategy, feel free to let me know. Send me voice notes, whatever you need. That being said, let's get to it. Going on today, we're going to be going over the Instagram guide. So this is simply how to position yourself on Instagram, so that way you can land some of the roles we're going to be going over. That being said, I want you to understand with Instagram, it's basically a landing page, right? So like within marketing, man, like you have the traffic and then it gets sent to a lander. Okay, and the lander is where you're used to convert those leads. So for you got to source Instagram leads, send them to a landing page, which would be your Instagram, and determining whether or not they'll have to determine whether or not they want to buy from you or not, or in this instance, whether they want to work with you and give you an interview or not. Right? So you're still selling yourself, just in a different way. So once again, Instagram is very important if you're going to be doing outreach or any channel you're doing outreach on. So as far as username goes, keep it clean, short, professional, no numbers, underscores, extra fluff, right? Names like Awad Sales, Jay the Closer, Ryan Closers, Dalton Sales, Closer Gabe, right? Just like keep it short and simple. You don't want a bunch of numbers. A bad example, for example, man, would be like if I go to my following, let's see if I got anybody in my following who has a shitty username. Keenan657X, that's one of my homeboys. His name, you don't want a bunch of numbers. Cooper Smith 5150. Right? A lot of these, those type of names, you think they're a kid. Like L.Suave. Like, what the fuck is that? It's funny because I'm shitting on some of my homeboys. They don't give a fuck, though. Right, but something like Dom Malera is clean. Colby Harris, Royal Curry, Jalen White Sales. This is, Jalen, if you're seeing this, shout out to you, bro. Your name's dialed, right? And so Jalen is an example of having his profile dialed incorrectly. Okay, so clean name, profile photo. Jalen here has a nice, clean black and white headshot. Okay. Bio format, high ticket closer with cash collected. So, Jalen doesn't have a bunch of cash collected, right? But he's a high ticket sales professional. Control your reality. And if you click on his highlights, couple of little aesthetic shots. Pretty chill. All right. Then we go from there. Highlights. Create a blank aesthetic highlight. Got photos of gym, travel, nice dinner, just looking sharp. Throw 3 to 5 of them in there. Makes your profile look active and builds a little trust. Perfect. And if you do have results, put that in there, like CRM screenshots, messages for management, stuff like that. Okay. So outreach to influencers and operators. Okay. So the two main avatars to target the influencer, coach, face of brand, usually the ones in the content, doing sales calls, managing setters, info product operators, growth ops. These are the most slept on people to message. They usually manage back-end ops. Check DMs for influencers are hiring for 10 to 5 offers. Actual decision maker are massively overworked. Okay, so how do you find these people to begin with in the first place? Okay, so you can come here, for example, and you would do, look at these search results. These are fucking hilarious. Funnel results, funnel breakdown. Okay, I've probably talked to a couple of you about this in the past, but you just come on here and find someone who's breaking down a funnel, because more than likely, these people have some sort of sales teams. All right, so these breaking down near knowledge's $1.8 million funnel. Crazy. I already know who Matas is, right? But you see here, we come to his page. Okay, he's followed by a couple of different folks who are in the info space. I help business owners maximize lead conversions, documented all on my YouTube, based in London. Okay, sweet. So if you DM'd him, you're more likely to want to find the role. For example, he's hiring. DM apply to get the application form. US-based phone setters to dial leads. Experienced closers, right? Need to have case studies. Works with info products. These are the type of guys you should be looking for. All right, working on multiple roles, and they're actively hiring, and he's making the decisions. Okay, so this is the type of content you want to look at, and you can scan through any of these guys' pages and look at their top performing content. And if they have top performing content, people are more likely going to copy them. Right? For example, we go to Alexi, who's one of the more popular guys in the space. We go to popular funnel, funnel breakdowns. See, these are very common. Fastest path to 100K a month as a coach, not school. $600 a month to 57.5 cash collected. Fuck it, info is broken. Right? So you can do that too. Fuck it. Info is broken. Here's how to crack it. Full course. All right. Now you see people copying it. And this is how you do research, guys. Like these people, like Camille, for example, does the same thing, breaks down funnels. And if you look at his page, scaling info offers. You see what I'm saying? So like these are the type of guys you want to reach out to predominantly. But if you just want to do influencers, you can just go for trading, how to day trade. Right? People are going to have how to day trade. And how you know if they have a funnel or not. You look at their type of videos. Okay, day in the life. This guy's obviously pushing some sort of program, most likely. Learning to trade crypto. We go to his Instagram. All right, more. He has a Bitly link. Let's see what he's got here. Free trading course, private team. It's probably send us to WAP or something. Right, let's see what it sends us to. Yep. Join the trade invite. Right. It's obviously selling some sort of package. Join the invite trade accelerator. So he just has a $700 course. Okay, he doesn't have a high ticket program. This guy would probably print with a high ticket program. Or maybe he does on the back end, who knows. But regardless, he's pushing a low ticket. All right. Shout out my boy Ryan. But then coming back here, TJR. Obviously he has a program. Okay. Look on TJR. We already know he does. But looking at his funnel, we click this. It's going to send us to a landing page. Yep, with a VSL. You join this, you sign up, you get called by a setter, he sets you on a call, and they try to close. Okay, and that's the exact same funnel that all these guys are running. Okay, and even cooler than this, if you're not able to, if you want to like send messages to them outside of just YouTube, just outside of just Instagram, right? What we can do here is we go to videos, and we sort by this week. Okay, find one of these guys, for example, who doesn't have a lot of views. PB Blake, I know who's growth hopping for him actually. Let's see if she has a course. Becomingprettyprofitable.com. Join us today, right? All right, so she has a program. We can click more here. View email address. Do the CAPTCHA. Bicycles. Okay. All right, submit. Is going to give me her email or not? All right, well, I'm not going to wait, but this will then give you her email address, and then you can use the template and the course to go ahead and send a message out. All right, and make sure we're tracking everything. Okay, make sure we are putting this into our tracker. All right, but that's basically how you source those opportunities. And then these are the message templates. You can send email and DMs. You can do the exact same way. All right, whole purpose of this is to basically establish if they're even hiring or if they are looking to get someone in the pipeline. And even if they don't hire you right away, okay, as I'm sure opportunities come up. So if you can stay top of mind, you follow up, or even if you build a network and they're like, hey, look, when a role opens up, we'll have this for you. That goes a long way, right? Take as many interviews as you can if you get the opportunity to, especially in the beginning days, until you build out a solid network, just to showcase your skill. Okay, then you're going to track everything, right? Use the outreach tracker, stay organized. You're running a pipeline, not winging it. So, obviously, and I'll even link this in here for y'all. I'll make this easier for you. Come to copy of sales outreach, right? Log everything in here. Okay, so here's the link. You're good. So you're going to grab this link here. You're going to drop it down below. All right. My bad. Talking to myself out loud to y'all. Sweet. We do this live. Oops. Edit link. Sales outreach. All right, cool. So this in mind, I'll use this tracker, obviously, to track the data, because if you aren't tracking your data, then how are you going to know what's going in, what's going out? Okay, you can really see if you're not getting the results you want, why you're not, based upon this tracker. And this also helps us whenever we get on our coaching calls, okay, to see like, okay, what are you doing? What are you not doing? All right. Then go into daily outreach volume. Instagram has rate limits. So you send 10 DMs a day, then 20 DMs a day, and 30 DMs a day, and you cap it out at 40 DMs a day. Don't skip days. This is compounding as outreach is. If you're not doing this daily, you don't actually want money. All right. So that's pretty much it for this outreach guide. It's super simple, guys. If you have any questions, like, don't hesitate to ask me on this. And obviously we do like some more custom stuff on our calls, but this is the exoskeleton of it all. All right. I'm going to go ahead and send this out to you all now. If you have any questions, just let me know. Hey, what's going on? It's Miguel. So as you can see here, we're going to be going over LinkedIn, hence the background. But that being said, what we're really going to be going over is how to set up your profile, okay? Because the messaging is very similar on all of these platforms if you haven't really been able to tell. But what's really going to change is the way you set up your profile that makes it attractive. So for me, obviously, I have a coaching program. That's why my profile is structured this way. Right. But there's a couple little key elements that you could use for yourself. So whenever I was a sales professional, rather than having this set up, I would just simply put my titles, right? So that would be account executive, high ticket closer, right? So for example, let's say you want to be a high ticket closer, you'd put high ticket closer. It doesn't matter what stage you're at. If you're like not there yet, you haven't placed in a role, or you already been one, you still want to act as if you are one, right? Because does somebody want to hire someone who's an aspiring or looking to break into, or do they want to hire someone who is? Okay, so if you can act as if you are already a professional closer and you have conviction, with the way you portray yourself, but then also you show up to the interview and you act as if you have a bunch of experience, even if you lack the experience, if you can showcase the skill and the confidence that comes from, knowing you can do this shit, it's going to translate very well in those interviews and help you get roles, right? And it all starts with your digital presence. Because if I put aspiring high ticket closer or looking to break into high ticket sales, it looks like I am an amateur. Versus if I say I'm a high ticket closer and I use XYZ as my closing tactic, it's like, oh shit, this guy must know something. Okay, so that's kind of the whole thing we're trying to portray. So high ticket closer, you can put appointment setter. You can put XYZ closed, XYZ word XYZ closed / generated, right? You could do either one. And then you can just say like NEPQ methodology or framework. So whatever you want to put right here, right? So what this is basically structured as is what role you are, any accomplishments you have, and your sales style. That's all you need. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. Okay, then from there, obviously have your normal name. Industry, you would put position as account executive or closer, right? Industry, professional services, obviously put your location, and boom, you're good to go here. Really nothing crazy as far as the description. But then the banner. Basically want to say you're a high ticket sales professional. You don't need to have yours look like this. Yours could literally just be the blank Canva templates and say high ticket closer. And like I said, you can just go to Canva for that. And you would just search LinkedIn banner. And then you just use one of these templates and put ticket sales professional. It's really nothing special for that. But yeah, going back to LinkedIn here. You want a professional headshot, of course. This is massive. If you don't have this, what are you doing? All right. And then when it comes to actually posting on LinkedIn, as a closer or setter, it's nothing really too important. So I'm not even really going to cover that. But if you did want to set or close, and you still wanted to build like a LinkedIn presence, as you can see here, this post went viral, right? I need to, ramp back up my consistency here. I was posting on a daily basis before this past week, but yeah, you can generate jobs off of this. Not too common, but if you have a viral sales framework post and people see you're an expert, right, and you have a little bit of experience, they'll probably, send you a message. Or it's really just building out your profile though, so that you look more like an expert and position yourself as a professional. But to be honest, like, you don't expect anything too crazy from that. And then your about section, this doesn't really matter. Um, I will have a prompt you can use in the guide, but like the about section, if you can just say I'm a high ticket closer, and then any experience you have, if you have any at all, or you could say I'm a high ticket closer, I use XYZ methodology, looking forward to connect. That's really it. But as I said, I'll have like a little prompt slash template in the curriculum below, so don't even worry about that. And obviously all this will be written down into a guide. Okay, now as far as outreach, it's very similar to all of the others. Of course, track this in your outreach tracker, right? But if you don't have LinkedIn Premium, literally just come here, as you can see here, looking up some of your names. For example, I would just type up someone's name. Let's use Lonzy, for example. She's in one of my masterminds. So Lonzy has a very good profile. All right, that's why I was looking at her shit, because 33,000. She's based in Dubai, and she does LinkedIn consulting. So she's very good at LinkedIn. So let's say Lonzy, for example, needed a closer or was hiring someone for sales. You could reach out to Lonzy and be like, hey, look, I'm an XYZ closer. You know, done X, or this is my experience level. Would love to have an opportunity to work with you, or something like that. Liked your content around LinkedIn, some sort of message like that. I'll even draft one up for you. So you'd be like this: LinkedIn help, right? Because she's on LinkedIn teaching how to do LinkedIn help. So if you come in with LinkedIn help, she'll be like, oh, LinkedIn help, someone will be wanting help from me. But it's not like something too bait and switchy like a lot of people are saying, oh, you get one-on-one coaching, right? LinkedIn help. Hey, Lonzy, saw you helped people grow on LinkedIn. Space I have a lot of interest in. Are you currently looking for closers or sales help? Willing to work old leads for you. Show what I got. This is what I would use if you do not have any experience, right? Come at it from the frame of I'll even work your old leads. Because if you can say you're going to work the old leads, it shows your hustle. Okay, so hey Lonzy, saw you helped people grow on LinkedIn, a space I have a lot of interest in. Are you currently looking for closers or sales help? Willing to work old leads for you to show what I got. So why this works is you're coming in super casual tone. Saw you helps people grow on LinkedIn at a space I have a lot of interest in. Hook here, relevant, eye-catching, question mark, leaves them open loop. What LinkedIn help? Like, what do they mean LinkedIn help? Let me look at their message. Hey, Lonzy, saw you help people grow on LinkedIn in a space I was interested in. Oh, that's cool. She keeps reading. You gave her a compliment. Are you currently looking for closers or sales help? Willing to work old leads for you, show what I got. Well, even if she isn't looking for sales help, if you position yourself that way, at least you get the conversation, right? And you get into the pipeline. So this is a way where you offer to set and close dead leads, where even if you don't necessarily take one of these roles, you get in front of so many people and they're willing to have conversations with you, right? And even if you don't work with them because maybe it's not a good fit, you can still generate so many relationships just because you're able to hop on the phone and demonstrate your value. Okay, so this is what I did to literally change everything. Like, I was hopping on calls, interviewing, taking these roles on. I was saying yes to every opportunity, and then that's how I built out my network on top of investing tens of thousands of dollars into being in paid communities, right? But doing that within those communities to where I even got more targeted of an audience. So that being said, Um, that's it. Just track these messages. You want to look for like sales managers though, or people who own offers. Um, and how you could search that, for example, would just be sales manager and DM anyone here. It's an industry. If you target places like Miami, you'll probably find more that way who are like more in the info space. Or you could do coaches or coach, right? Because coaches will say helping coaches, or coach would be like fitness coach or something like that. So that's ways you can find targeted listings. Anyways, hope this was helpful for LinkedIn. Make sure you're active with the outreach tracker, following the KPIs you have set. You have a limited amount of connects every week. So yeah, just act within those guidelines and you'll be good to go. Hey, what's going on? It's Miguel, and today we're going to be going over the setting framework. So this one shouldn't be too long, but I just really wanted to kind of get you all a grasp on how this works. Now within the coaching, we'll obviously be implementing this more. There's nothing too much here, but there's a couple little nuances that I think would be very beneficial for you all to know about. So walking through it, the whole philosophy behind setting in the first place is raising buying temperature and qualifying the prospect and ensuring show rates, right? So what does that mean? Increasing buying temperature, making someone closer to buying, simply, right? So if cold is not buying, flaming hot on fire is buying, we want to get them as close as here as possible. Right, going from there, increasing show rates. Obviously, if you're setting, you have a good conversation, stick it in their mind, get them engaged in marketing material, then obviously they're more likely to show up to a closing call, right? And then qualification. People are just hopping on calls, after just filling out a form, they're going to be less qualified, right? But if we can get on there, see how much money they make, do they need someone else on the call? Is this something they're really serious about? Then we'll have more qualified calls. So that being said, you play a very vital, important part of the game, and it is a role we all start out. I did this for like a year. So don't feel bad. So getting into it. Hey, John, this is Miguel from company. How's it going? So when you're doing this opening line, I need to put a little brief pause right here. So I'll do like, hey, John, this is Miguel from XYZ company. How's it going? Something like that. Right. And then obviously go down from there. So, brief rapport, keep it natural, and maybe like, where are you from? Something like that. But you don't really need to do that too much on setting calls. Okay, now if they want to obviously like have a little bit more back and forth with you, take advantage of it. If they're a yapper, if they're giving you stuff, take it. Because it's not often you have somebody who's like really giving you a lot of information. So if you can get that, then take advantage. But really keep this short. Like, hey, John, hello. This is Miguel from XYZ. How's it going? Going good. What's up? Yeah, they're going pretty good, man. I just saw you downloaded our guide here on making money online through sales. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. What specifically were you looking to get help with when it comes to like breaking free from the 9 to 5 and building income online? So what I like to do here is, if you see an opportunity to pause, to leave space for them to interject and be like, yeah, or no, or whatever, because you don't want to go into like long spiels and long paragraphs. Now here, you could rip through all of this, but it's a little awkward, right? If you say, hey, you call them out of the blue, you open up like, hey, this is XYZ from this is so-and-so. Yeah, what's up? How's it going? Right. And then you immediately go into a multiple sentence spiel. It can seem a little awkward. Right. So rather than doing that, I don't like to, follow the script verbatim. I kind of make it my own. So once again, it's like, hey, John. Yeah, this is Miguel from XYZ company. How's it going? Good. What's up? Yeah, no, hey, never better, honestly. But I saw you downloaded our guide on making money online through sales. Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, man. So like, what specifically were you looking to get help with when it comes like breaking free from the 9 to 5 and like building income online? Oh, I was looking for help with XYZ, right? You see how like it's a little bit more conversational than going like, hey, John, this is Miguel from XYZ company. How's it going? Oh, it's going good. What's up? Yeah, so hey, I saw you download our guide on making money online through sales. What specifically were you looking to get help with when it comes to breaking free from the 9 to 5 and building income online? Now, does that work? Yes, it works, but I think giving some brief pauses in there makes it better. Do that how you want. If you want to follow it verbatim at first and then kind of do that, go ahead.
right? So the first goal of the call is get the tangible, right? This is what they want. Now, if you revert to the setting document, tangible outcome, it's something that's quantifiable. Like when we have examples here, right? I want to make extra 5K a month online, replace my salary, financial freedom, start a side business. Okay, those are good. Non-valid examples is getting information, just making more money, just looking around, right? And I have some responses here for you. More money? Well, I hope it wouldn't be for less. Like what's more money going to do for you? That was an awkward ass laugh. So somebody says more money, you can be like, yeah, well, I hope it wouldn't be for less, right? Like what's more money going to do for you? Oh, help me get financial freedom. Right. Awesome. Okay, and if they say getting information, you can just repeat it back to them. Getting information? Yeah, getting more information on XYZ. Oh, okay, gotcha. Like, what would that help you do? Oh, well, it'll help me make more money. Oh, sweet, man. That's awesome. And like, some people want to make more money for Lamborghinis. Some people want to donate to kids in Africa. Like, well, what are you gonna do with more money, man? How much are you shooting for? Well, just an extra 10K a month so I can travel, do XYZ. There you go, right? Or if they give you just looking around. Oh, I'm just looking around. Just looking around? Yeah, no, I was just like looking around for more information. Oh, more information, man. I got you. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there online. Like, what information were you're looking to actually get? Oh, I was looking to get the document on like how to break free from 9 to 5 and build income online. Oh, I got you. Like, was breaking free from 9 to 5 and building income online like something you're looking to do, or like what's that for? Oh yeah, that's something I'm wanting to do. I want to leave my 9 to 5. Okay, awesome. I'll go from there. Right. So restate the vague answers in their tone and curious tone. I don't know why I put their tone. And curious tone. All right. But once we get the vague answer in their tone, we're going to dig into their experience, right? So we go, got it. Like, what's made you feel like you haven't been able to quite get there yet? Why we do this is you uncover past failures, false starts, or blocks keeping them stuck. And this brings contrast and makes change feel necessary. That means they have a need to continue talking and builds urgency to actually show up to a call. All right. Then going from there, we have logical certainty. Now, this is kind of similar to what you actually do on a closing call. This is where some of that carryover comes in, like on the discovery. You just don't dig too deep and get into the emotional aspects on a setting call. You leave that up for the closer. All right. But on the logical certainty, you're going to get the root cause, the real problem, and then expand. So you're going to discover the root cause of that experience. Right. So you can go to something like, what have you been doing so far to like make money online? How long have you been trying that approach? Well, what made you go with that strategy? Right? You're just getting them to realize that their current method hasn't worked. And they say it, you don't have to, right? Because if you say it, it's bullshit. If they say it, it's fact. Going from there, you get the real problem, right? Because, some people will give you surface level answers. No one's going to open up and tell you, yeah, well, that's happening and it's causing this in my life, which is a byproduct of this and that. Now, some people can't even think that level. They can't even think properly. They don't think that deep. And other people are just not going to tell you all that because you're a random guy calling them on the phone. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to do a little bit of digging. So that from there, it's like, do you actually like the path you've been taking? For example, they say they've been watching YouTube videos. You're like, yeah. So like, do you actually, like the path you're taking watching the YouTube videos? Oh, it's all right. Yeah, man. Like, what do you like about it? Well, I mean, I'm getting a lot of free information, and it's like helping me make a decision. Sweet. That's always helpful. But like, what would you change about it, if anything at all? Oh, well, I would change this and that, and actually landing an opportunity. Boom. There you go. Right. And that's a pain point. They don't know how to do that. You're uncovering a problem for them, right? Which is they don't have the opportunities. Okay. And once again, this helps them open up and critique their path themselves without getting defensive, right? And then you can expand the pain. So then you can go into like, and when you say you're not able to, find opportunities in order like making money online, like what do you mean by that? Oh, I don't know where to find jobs. Oh, like how long has that been happening? Do you think that problem has affected your goal of income, right? Whatever income goal, in what way? Okay, so this is going to take their light pain and deep pain, which builds buying temperature. We can also call this probing, when you're really digging into that. Okay, then we go into stage 3, which is the transition. This is the qualification, the willingness to invest, and then you book them. Okay, so qualifying them financially, getting their willingness, are they actually taking this serious? On the BANT, which is budget, authority, need, timeline, which is the qualification we use. Qualifying them financially would be the budget, authority. Do they need anybody else on the call? Right? Typically, it's not going to be the case. And then the need and the timeline. Right? If they're willing to invest today, good. If they're not, then don't set them. Okay. And if they say they're not willing to invest today, why is that? you know? So that's something you kind of got to play with, and it'll come with experience. So getting the financial qualification is pretty simple. You can just like, so where do you want to be in 6 months? Like monthly income wise from sales? I like 10K a month. Okay. And like how far are you off right now? How far off are you right now? Can't even speak English. Or where are you at right now? Or like, where are you at right now? You could say a couple different ways, right? I always like to say, like, how far off are you then? Well, I'm like 4K a month, so blah, 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 blah. Okay, got you. And if there's a proven way to go from like XYZ to this and that, like, would you possibly open to invest in yourself, to, like, make that happen? There you go. Right. So you're confirming income gap and financial ability. Obviously it just depends on your offer, how much it is. Like if it's a 10K ticket and they're saying they make 2K a month, they're probably not qualified. But if it's like a 2K ticket and they make 2K a month, they could be qualified. Right. Then we go into willingness to invest. If there's a proven way to go from XYZ income to whatever goal, would you be willing to invest in yourself to make that happen? This just filters out people who just want free information versus those who are actually willing to level up. So some people are just like kicking tires, having fun, just downloading documents, and they never take action. Other people are actively seeking to make a change, and that's when you can really gauge that here. Right, then you go into transitioning to booking the call. So how this would go is like, so based on everything you tell me, man, like, feeling kind of stuck in your 9 to 5 and not being able to make 10K a month due to the lack of opportunities, that coupled with that goal of like actually making the 10K a month where you're stuck at, I think we could possibly help you there. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So I'll connect you with Miguel, who works directly with people like you. He'll find out exactly what you need in order to hit 10K a month. And if it's a fit, they'll kind of like walk you through how the coaching works. So would that be helpful? Yeah, I think that'd be helpful. Sweet. So you're teeing up the closer with a full buy-in and permission. So this lets the closer know the authority, right? I mean, how serious they are. And then on top of this, you position them as an authority figure by saying they work directly with people like you. And it'll help you map out the goal. Right. So here's a couple objections, right? I don't have time right now. You'd be like, I get that. Most of our clients felt the same way. Like real quick, is that you don't have the time or you just haven't like found something worth your time yet. It shifts it from time excuse to priority excuse, right? And obviously you can check the objections guide for more stuff in detail. These are just like quick ones you can spout out. Yeah, I think I just need to think about it. Not something you're going to get much here, right? But you can say, hey, totally fair. And like out of curiosity, like what do you think you need to think about? No, is it like timing and investment for you or is it like something else? Makes them articulate the real objection, right? Now, you're not really going to get think about it's on here, but like I said, you want to have this in the bag. And how much does it cost? Yeah, that's honestly a great question. Miguel will kind of cover all the options on the call since it just depends on your situation. You have a few different package and payment plans. So just so we're aligned, when you ask about the price, is that because you're actually serious about considering this, if it makes sense, right? Yeah, if it's actually makes sense, I'll do it. Boom, there you go, right? You can go into, I've done coaching before and it didn't work. Got it. I appreciate you being real honest with me. And like, what about that coaching didn't work for you? Oh, XYZ, this and that. Gotcha. So if we could like avoid that exact issue and help you get the results, would you at least like kind of be open to hearing what we do differently? Yeah, for sure. But doesn't argue, reframes past failures as a lesson, not a wall. And then if they get the closer gets that objection, they can go into the girlfriend reframe on the call. So hope this was helpful. Once again, qualifying them with BANTS, budget, authority, need, timeline. Tonality is huge. Making it conversational, but not going off too topic. It got going too off topic. And then simultaneously, acting with speed. I think the biggest thing with setting is just relentlessness. If you can approach this with the right mindset and understand that you're basically selling them on a meeting and not necessarily having to bully them across the line, then you'll be in a good position. But hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me. Hey, what's going on? It's Miguel, and today we're going to be going over the introductory stage of the closing framework, aka tangible outcome. In this stage of the call, we are going to be opening up the call, building rapport, that initial connection, and then from there, we are going to get what they are actually looking to get out of this call, and the program your offer is on, right? So, for example, if you're a day trading offer, we want to know how much money they're looking to make, something like that. All right. So first things first. Obviously open up the call like, hey, John, can you hear and see me okay? Prospect will like, yeah, I can hear you all right. Awesome, man. Like, welcome to the call. How's it going? So key here whenever you're opening the call, and this is with anything, where you're coaching someone or you're having the frame, is you want to be the nice tour guide. All right. when you go to the museum, do you want the asshole tour guide, or do you want the guy who's nice, right, easy to talk to, but also knows his shit? All right, that's who you want to be. You want to be a guy who's easy, nice to talk to, but knows their shit. And then, you can put your foot down when you need to, right? Like, don't get it fucked up. You definitely should be doing that at certain points, but that's not how you open the call. All right. Also, tonality wise, you want to be one level above them on the opener. So if someone comes into the call and they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" And you'd be like, "Hey," and you're like, "Hey, how's it going? What's up, man?" Like, it's going to be off. But if they come in, "Hey, how's it going?" You're like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" It doesn't sound as off, right? Same thing as if they're like, "Hey, I'm super excited to be on this call and learn how to make 10K a month online." And you come on there, "Oh, that's cool, man. But like, what's your XYZ, or how's this, blah, blah, blah. How's it going?" If you come in off on the tone, it's going to sound, it's just not going to connect. So you want to be one level above them. So if they come in like this, you need to come in like that. All right. Brief thing on tonality there. And this also allows you to control the conversation when you can do that. So it definitely plays a massive part, I feel like. So once again, you're like, "Hey, John, can you hear and see me okay?" Prospect says yes. You say, "Amazing, man. Welcome to the call. How's it going?" Prospect gives you whatever. All right. You don't need to go much deeper than that. You don't need to ask them about their cat, dog, sister, cousin, weather, all that sorts of shit. You can keep it super simple here. There doesn't need to be a bunch of rapport building. You just need to build a little bit of a personal connection. Don't sound like a robot. And then you kind of frame the conversation, right? Now, you can say, "It looks like you booked in my calendar about possibly getting some help with day trading, correct? Airbnb, correct? Whatever your offer is." All right. Or if they had a conversation with a setter before you, if you're a closer, like, for example, I'd be like, "Looks like you had a conversation with Omar, right?" "Yeah, I did. How'd that go?" "Oh, good. It was pretty quick. We talked about this and that, blah, blah, blah. And, he asked me this, and that's why I'm here." Right. So at this part of the call, you are literally just going to make a comment on how they got here. Right. And then from there, you frame the conversation. So like, let's say, "Hey, looks like you had a conversation with Omar about like possibly getting help with Airbnb, right?" "Yeah, that's correct. We talked a little bit about like where I'm at, but we didn't talk too much." "Yeah, no, I mean, that's fine, man. Like, the first part of this call is just really for us to find out a little bit more about your background as far as like what you've done in the past. So, and what you're doing now, and what you're really looking for, just to see if we could actually help." Sound fair enough? Right. So there's different ways you could do this. You could be like, and regardless if we're able to help you or not, man, like on this call in our program, we'll be sure to give you enough value and clarity. That way you'll be able to make a decision about how you want to go about XYZ business. All right. All right, cool. So what did you either hear or see about XYZ influencer that made you want to book in this conversation? So you don't necessarily always have to do every single part of this, right? Like all three of these, where you also go into what did you hear or see about influencer that made you book in this conversation. But when you follow in this order, it performs well, right? And the reason we're doing this is, one, don't want to spend a lot of time going back and forth about who they are, what they do, right? We don't need to know everything about them. All right. Then we just need to give them, like, get context on where they're coming from, right? Letting them know how the call goes, framing it correctly, and having an understanding about like their intentions. Okay, so going from there, what did you either hear or see about XYZ influence when you book this conversation further? This doesn't really matter too much, but if they give you some ammo here, take it. This whole purpose of all of these stages is to get ammo to translate to the next stage. So if they give you ammo, like, "Oh, I really liked how authentic he was in XYZ case study and how he helped this person get the 15K a month because I really want to get the 15K a month." Well, now you already know their goal, right? So then from there, you get that answer, and then this is when you get the tangible. All right, so let's say they saw the influence and they just really liked the content and thought it was super helpful. They feel like they said he wasn't too salesy, right? It's what a lot of people say. And then you're going to, okay, so like, I appreciate you saying that, but like, what's the main reason you're even looking to join the program then? Like, and starting Airbnb specifically. Okay, so the reason you are asking what personally, specifically, and you're adding that extra question, this extra word here at the end of this question, is that way that you can make sure that they're giving you a contextual answer, right? And the way you ask these questions is going to be very, very important because it makes it easier for them to give you an answer that you're looking for. Okay, so there's this old one that says, "I didn't say he hit his wife." That sounds random, but it's a sentence to play on tonality. So you could be like, I didn't say he hit his wife. 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 Or I didn't say he hit his wife. I didn't say he hit his wife. Each way you say that dictates how the question is interpreted, right? So whenever we're asking someone about what are they looking to get, and we want a specific answer, we need to have that same play. Okay, so how that works is we go through we go through this question, we do it pretty slow, and we emphasize business model personally. So I'd be like, so what's the main thing you're really looking to achieve when it comes to starting Airbnb personally, or Airbnb personally, right? It really just depends on like how you want to go about it, but I always put emphasis on like the personally, right? So what's the main thing then you're really looking to achieve when it comes to joining Airbnb personally? Oh, personally for me, it'll help me do XYZ. And then that's when you'll get their answer, right? So that's how I always say this question one more time so you can see what I'm saying. So what's the main thing you're looking to achieve then when it comes to like joining the bunker program and starting YouTube automation personally? They're gonna be like, oh, personally? Why does it matter to me? Right? Or versus I say, what's the main thing you're really looking to achieve then when it comes to joining the bunker and starting automation personally? What's the main thing? I mean, at the same time, you can get the same answer, right? But if you can say it in a specific way, you're more likely to get the right answer. All right. So from there, they give you either a tangible outcome, right? This would be defined as 10K a month, being able to travel, something that's contextual to them, or they'll give you a bullshit answer or a problem, or they get you, I don't know, right? Sometimes you'll get a motherfucker who says, I don't know. So what's the main thing you're looking to get out of this? I don't know. Yeah, no, for sure, man. I mean, typically when students come to us, they're either looking to make more money so they can have time freedom or get XYZ Lamborghini, right? What does that kind of like look like for you? Oh, well, I guess I'm looking to get, more freedom. Okay, man. I'm like, so what are you doing for now at the moment? And then you pivot into the next sector, right? But you want to get a tangible outcome. So if they give you, I don't know, that's how you would handle it, right? And then if they give you a bullshit answer, if they're like, I want to make more money. Yeah, I mean, of course, man, nobody really comes to us to make less money, right? So like, what does making more money do for you personally? Or if they say, I want to make more money. Nah, I got you, man. Everybody wants to make more money, right? But like, are you trying to give money to kids in Africa so they can, eat food? Or are you trying to pop bottles, go get up with strippers at the club and drive Lambos, right? There's like, everybody use money for different things. And then you can get something more contextual to them, right? So if they say, I just want to learn new skills. I want to learn more things. Oh, so what's the outcome you want out of that, like learning sales? Oh, so that way I could, improve in my job and make more money. Okay, so making more money. Yeah, I want to make more money, like 10K a month. All right, I got you, man. And then you can go from there. All right, so that's kind of how you handle tangible outcome. Once again, just kind of recapping this. Build rapport. Don't spend too long here. You don't need to fucking get a bunch of information on them, right? Add some context to the call, how they booked in. Don't be a jackass if you spoke to them before, if you're setting and closing. Just make a comment on that conversation and then frame the call. Tell them how the call is going to go. And then from there, you can ask them for context on what they liked or heard about the influencer, if it makes sense in your conversation. And then from there, get a tangible outcome, what they're looking to get. Really emphasize the personally on this question so you can get the best answer possible. And then from there, you either get a tangible outcome, a bullshit answer, which you can redirect using these examples, or they get you an I don't know, which you can redirect to the correct answer based upon this. So hope this was helpful. If you all enjoyed this, shoot me a message, or if you have any questions on it, shoot that as well. But yeah, on to the next part of the framework. What's going on? It's Miguel, and today we're going to be going over the current situation stage. In this stage, we're basically just getting where is our prospect at, right? If you haven't watched Tangible Outcome, be sure to do so. But current situation, we really just ask them what they're doing for work at the moment, right? Like, what are you doing now? How long have they been doing that? And is this a cash on the side or full time? So what we're doing here is, one, we can kind of get a mini financial qualification if we haven't already gotten that information from the setter or pre-call form. You get them to elaborate on what they do for work. how long they've been doing it, right? And then is this something they're wanting to get into full time versus on the side? And then you can even ask, what if is there a number, like what would it take for you to go into this full time, right? Because that could also uncover if they're like, hey, look, if I can get to XYZ, I do it full time. Well, one, that's a limiting belief, because if they're saying, if I can make 10K a month online, then I do it. They don't even know it's truly possible. So we know we need to get that right. We're probably going to get a fear objection. We're probably going to get a limiting belief, right? Or maybe they just don't know what's even capable. So we need to educate them in some format. Right? Or say, oh, whenever I get 10K a month online, a 10K a month of this, I do it full time. Or it's like, eventually I'll get into this full time, right? So you can get a really good gist of where their mindset is at with this question. Okay. So if somebody says, if I can get this 10K a month, we know there might be some fear, some limiting beliefs. If they're like, hey, look, whenever I get the 10K, I'll leave my job, or I want to get into this full time. As soon as or they're like, yeah, as soon as I see this work at least a little bit, I'm going to leave. Right. Then we know, okay, their buying temperature is hot. They have a big need. All right. And then, obviously we'll go to the problem stage next, problem awareness. But once again, this is super simple. What are they doing for work? How long have they been doing that for work? And are they looking to do this part-time or on the side? Right. This can give us how much urgency they have, as well as just more ammo. This is an ammo stage. Like I said, with the tangible outcome, then we get into here, this stage, just more ammo with the current situation, problem awareness, more ammo, and then we get into pre-handling, which is really where we start unloading the gun a little bit. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you on the next part.
Hey, what's going on? It's Miguel, and today we're going to be going over the problem awareness stage within the closing framework. Now, this is a super important stage because this is where you're truly seeing what is wrong with their situation, right? And not only are you seeing what's wrong with their situation, they're going to see what's wrong with your situation, and you're really going to dig into it, right? Because if we can have them, one, give us what they're looking to get with tangible outcome. We understand their current situation as far as their approach in order to try to get to the outcome right now. And then now we get into a problem awareness where we have them associate the current situation as the reason they do not have their tangible outcome, and that therefore their current situation is manufacturing all of these problems. Now they're more open to us possibly giving them a solution and a new frame of mind and a new way to attack their life in their current situation, which we would not only be doing in the pre-handling stage, right, but again, getting their buying criteria, getting a bigger pain gap between future pacing and cost of inaction. And then when we go to the end, we give them that solution that can help them bridge that gap, then they're a lot more open to buy, right? But it all starts obviously with the top of the call, but problem awareness stage is critical. All right, so coming over to the framework itself, we transition from, asking them if this is a on the side or a full-time thing, right? What we did here is we can really see urgencies we talked about in the last module, but if you want to go recap that, go ahead. And then when they tell us what they do, right? Like, so do you like it? All right. The reason we ask them, do they like it, is because we want to get into the positives of what they like about it, right? The reason we want them to tell us what they like about it is because it makes us, one, seem more genuine when we go into what they don't like about it, to where we get into the problem. And then two, it also makes the conversation just sound so much more flowy. And honestly, they'll probably say no or something else, right? If they say yes, easy goes. You just go into what do you like about it? Right? If they're they're on the edge about it, well, I mean, sure, man, but considering you've been doing it for X amount of time, let's start with the positives. What do you like about it? Or if they go no, but why not? Okay. And this is really also going to be dictated on how long they've been doing it for, right? So if you ask them they like it and they're in the middle, you can use, you've been doing it for X amount of time. Why not? What do you like about it? What's kept you there, right? So once again, if you say, do you like it? Be like, yeah, I like it. Cool. What do you like about it? Then we go to the next stage. All right. So I hope this is making sense so far, as far as what to do in this part of the framework. Do you like it? Unsure. Well, let's start with the positives. What do you like about it? Or you could say, you've been doing it for X amount of time. What do you like about it? Yes. What do you like about it? No. Oh, why not? All right. Then we go into, I like this about it. All right, fair enough, man. And this is how things are going too terrible, man. And what's the main reason behind you transitioning into YouTube automation rather than just trying to like climb up the corporate ranks in order to get to like 10K a month. And this is where you find the problem. All right, so a lot of times what you'll see here is a couple of things. So let's say they're in a corporate job, for example, where they work a traditional 9 to 5. Maybe they have the possibility of getting to 10K a month, but the 10K a month isn't everything. There's lifestyle factors. What if they have to work 60 hours a week to get there? What if they have to live in a place they don't want to live? What if they have to do things they don't want to do? Right? This is where you get to uncover what that truly is. Or maybe it's just not even physically possible to get to 10K a month or whatever their income goal is here. Right? So this is where you really uncover the problem. And when you get to know, oh, why not? So you say, oh, why not? You go ahead and you get them to say their pain point, right? What their problem is and why they want to get out of their current vehicle to get to a new one. This is where you start to probe. All right, probing is super important because this is digging. And if you know me and you've been on the calls, we spoke. You know, I love to just repeat what they just told me in a curious tone. All right, so if they say, for example, why not just stick with the corporate sales route, become an account executive, instead you're looking to like get into XYZ sales coaching, right? In order to get into high ticket sales. However I'd phrase the question. Then they'll probably say something like, oh, well, I don't want to deal with the corporate bureaucracy, right? I have to wait another 4 years, 5 years to maybe make that amount of income. I don't like to do emails, whatever their reason is. And I'll just say, the corporate bureaucracy, like what do you mean? And then they'll elaborate, right? And that's the way you can ask them without having to necessarily be like, why? What do you mean? How do you mean? Certain questions like that. You want to be able to switch it up a little bit, because if you keep asking why, or how do you mean, what do you mean, what do you mean, it's not going to sound very smooth. So once again, if I come on there and like, yeah, fair enough, man, and like, doesn't sound like things are too terrible with the corporate sales role. Like, what's the main reason then behind you wanting to get into high ticket sales rather than just doubling down on your corporate path in order to get to like 10, 20K a month? Blah, 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 blah. Corporate bureaucracy. Yeah, corporate bureaucracy like XYZ. What do you mean? Oh, well, within corporate, I have to deal with XYZ, blah, blah, blah. My manager is doing this and that. Your manager's doing that to you? How does that look? Oh, well, this happened the other day, this incident, that. Wow, and like, how long has that been going on for? And then you transition, right? So that's just kind of a mock of how this would work. Probing questions are really just meant to dig deep into the pain and uncover the underlying effects of this, right? So kind of recapping here, do you like it? Or I get them to put them in a binary of yes or no, or I guess it's a try area, because they can give you unsure, but it ends up leading to the same. I like this, or I don't like this, which you'd go into, oh, why not? Right? Then they give you, you ask the question, they get them to give you why they don't like their situation or why they want to make the change. Okay, they give you that. You probe into it, you dig deep on what that means, what kind of impact is that having, right, as far as like tangibly. And then you will then expand the problem by asking how long has that been going on for, so that way you can get that duration of time. And when somebody tells you how long this has been going on for example, if someone tells me it's been going on for like 3 years, I will literally repeat it in a super like sad tone. Like, for example, what I mean by that is, what do you mean? Oh, well, my manager does this and that to me. And how long has that been going on for? Oh, it's been going on for like 2 years. 2 years? 2 years. Wow. Okay. I mean, being that you've been experiencing your manager, like, doing that to you for 2 years, like, just being real, because, we're here to help you at the end of the day. Like, how has that been affecting you? But affecting me, like, how so? Yeah, like, personally, man, like, just being real. Oh, then blah, 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 blah. All right, so that's how you would go down that. Once again, how long has that been going out for is really just meant to expand we're going from expanding the problems and then getting the time frame, right? We're expanding the problem with the probing, getting these questions out the way. Then we're once again expanding it even more by getting the time frame of like how painful it is. Right now, getting the time frame is super critical, but I also think it's a critical part of expanding the problem, because you can really get them to say like, wow, yeah, I guess it has been going on for 3 years. certain things like that. And then that's when it's like, all right, you're in there. In there, like swimwear is what they say. Okay. So then going down from that, they go ahead and you go ahead and you ask them how long you've been experiencing XYZ problem for whatever amount of time, like how's that impacting you. And this is where they're going to give a personal impact. So first thing we do is we kind of got like a more of a, we'll come over to the problem awareness framework so you can see. We got uncover a tangible problem, intangible problem, right? Like not getting enough leads or leads are not showing up. Root cause of problem, how long the problem's been going on for, how this means in a personal sense, right? Uncover tangible problem. Not able to scale to 10 to 20K a month because their job won't promote them. It'll take 5 years. What's the root cause of that problem? Oh, well, the corporate moves slow. There's a lot of, bureaucracy. My manager doesn't like me and I'll never be able to move up if my manager's there. How long has that been going on for? 2 years. How's that impacting you to have your manager do that to you? Emotional impact, all that sorts of stuff, right? So coming back to here on the framework, what do you mean? How do you mean? Other probing questions. How long has that been going on for? Considering you've been experiencing XYZ for that amount of time, how's that affecting you? They'll tell you how it's been affecting them. Okay. Usually this is going to be a more personal reason. So what I mean by that is like, well, it makes me stressed out. It impacts me this and that way. It's going to be more emotional. Right, which is good. You want to have that ammo. You want to get them to open up and realize like this is what's happening as a byproduct of your decision making. So we can have them change and make a different decision on this call today. Okay, so then once they give you that, this is when you do a do-it-yourself pre-handle. Now, what this means is a lot of people will say, "Oh, I want to go do this. Do it myself. I think I'm going to go try this without any help." Right. So at this point, you are going to pre-handle, which means handle the objection before you get it. Or you are going to pre-handle this objection before it would ever come up by getting them to explain why they would want to be working with someone and getting help in the first place, right? So I give you the problem and then you'll be like, okay, it makes sense. And like, I speak to a lot of people, right, day to day, and I know some people just like to try things on their own. So what makes you actually want to join and get help with this rather than just trying to figure that out by yourself? Oh, well, I want to get there faster, and I honestly don't really know what I'm doing, and I can do this and that. Yeah, no, you're definitely smart for thinking that way and looking at help. Like as I said, a lot of people try to do this themselves, but it seems like you have it figured out. And we actually see like most of the most successful people in the space, they heavily invest into themselves and to become better. So you're definitely doing the right thing. So reward them, right? So like if they give you a good answer here on the pre-handle, reward them for that. Okay, so if they tell you something that's like aligned with where you want them to want to take them, and this is just in general. If they tell you something like, "Hey, look, I really want to mentor because this and that," and it's a positive reason, hold them to an identity, right? So like there's little points throughout the call where you would identity frame them, and this is one of those points. So if they're like, once again, telling you they want to get there fast or whatever the benefit of mentorship is, tell them your most successful students and people who are doing XYZ or whatever person they want to be like, whatever their goal is, if they mentioned anything, those are type of people get mentorship and get help and invest into themselves. So they're doing the right thing for looking into this. Because in their head, they're like, oh, if XYZ is doing it and he's achieving this and that, and so-and-so is telling me I'm doing the right thing, let me go ahead and continue this conversation. And they'll sit up a little bit and they're more engaged. So whenever somebody gives me a good answer here, I would literally, so like, let's say it's for becoming it's taking their marketing agency from 5 to 10K a month to 30 to 50K a month. Well, no, that they're like, yeah, I just want to get there faster. I'm like, yeah, no, that's definitely smart, man. Is like I'm sure you know, a lot of the top agency owners, especially the ones we see come through the program, the reason they have a lot of success is because they're constantly investing into themselves and their skill set just as they do their business. So like, definitely props off to you. Most people wouldn't do that better. Boom, I did a new frame right there. Now they're like, oh shit, I gotta hold myself to that subconsciously. Okay, so one more thing before we kind of go into outcome here. Tonality is going to be super huge here. So like whenever we come up to these top stages, we know we're a little bit more excited. The reason we come in a little bit more excited and a level above them is so that when we're digging here in problem awareness, we can have there be a contrast, right? Because if the whole conversation, we're talking like this, we're having a really fun time, and then like how long's that been going on for? Like what do you mean? How your manager is doing that to you? Like what does that look like? And that contrast there is what's really going to help you on the call. All right, now coming on over to outcome. So basically, what this is if they give you an outcome rather than a problem, right? So, like for example, if you ask, "Oh, why not?" and then they're like, "Oh, I can. To be honest, like I can definitely get to XYZ. I just, uh, I can actually get to like XYZ with what I'm doing." Or say some shit like that. You're like, "I got you, but like, why not just get XYZ with what you're doing now?" Oh no, it's it's not that I can't do it. It's just like I'm just looking at other solutions. No, I mean, I got you, man. But like, what have you seen so far in your job that even has you looking to get to XYZ outcome? Oh, well, I don't like this and that about it, and it's giving me into this and that, right? You know, so like I said, you're very rarely going to get someone who's going to be an asshole and like not give you a problem when you're asking a question, and especially if you ask it correctly. But this is just to have in your back pocket in case someone does give you an outcome, to something tangible, right? Like rather than just now, Richard getting X, Y, Z. Oh, I just really want to get to 10, 20K a month. I don't really care how I do it. Yeah, I got you, man. But like, why not just get that with what you're doing now, right? And then it's really easy to segue this, guys. Don't really worry about having to ever go down this talk tracks. I've never had to go down this. Like, Brad probably went down this talk track like 5 times, 10 times. And I've taken a lot of calls. So, yeah. That being said, that is it for the problem awareness stage. Hope you all found this helpful. If you have any questions, do let me know. Once again, the biggest things here is tonality, pace, tonality and pacing. Switching it from that fast, upbeat tone to then when you're digging into their pain points, really dropping the tone down, not smiling when you're asking these questions, like really be there for them, right? And allow them to step into that more like emotional state, and then really dig into their pain points and become like very personable with them before you go into the pre-handling stage. So hope you found this helpful. Once again, that's it for the problem awareness.
All right, and we are back. So this is now the pre-handling stage of the call. This would be one of the most important stages of the call. I feel like I've said that twice already, but I genuinely mean this here. Why this is important is because if we don't really handle the reason why they haven't purchased in the past right here, the likelihood of that coming up at the end of the call is very strong, and more than likely will be the thing that holds us back from getting them to move forward. And if we can tackle it head on here, before we have price drop and all this sort of anxiety that comes from that and price shock, right? We can handle it here where it's lower tension and we can switch their beliefs and reframe their mindset. They're going to be so much more open to purchasing at the end of the call. It's fucking ridiculous. And then we can also hold them to it when we get to the end of the call. Remember what you said at this time period? Remember what we talked about earlier, right? Boom. You can reference this. So this is absolutely massive. This is a stage of the call I would revisit over and over again. I have spent so many years, not really so many, but 3 years, 2 years, right, of working on this stuff, tens of thousands of dollars in training and countless hours of reps. And this is going to be, in my opinion, the most important part of the call, just based off of my experience. That being said, let's get into it. So we go from the problem awareness stage, right? We uncovered their problem. We got a timeline. We did a do-it-yourself pre-handle. Then we transition into the normal pre-handling. Okay. Okay, then before you started speaking to me, have you tried any other online business models or coaching programs like this prior, or what have you tried so far? Reason this is relevant, and obviously if they tell you they tried shit in the past, make it relevant, right? If it's like they said they've tried dropshipping, it's like, yeah, I know you mentioned you tried dropshipping in the past, right? And you hopped on a couple other calls. Like, have you tried anything else besides that? And ultimately, like, why have you not moved forward with anything? Right? There's different ways you could phrase it, but ultimately, what you're trying to get here now is, have they tried something? Have they not? And then that's it, right? And if they said they've tried something, why didn't they see results with it? If they haven't tried something, why not? Okay, so let's go down the nothing track because a lot of people haven't tried anything. So what have you tried so far? They'll say nothing. I haven't done anything. All right, so like then we'll go into, I guess let's slow you down from like taking action on your goals for the past 3 years. What slowed you down then from taking action for the past 3 years? Right. So whatever time frame they gave you as to they've been aware that they've had a problem, or they've been experiencing XYZ, or they've been in their job, use that here. Right. Like, for example, somebody graduated high school, they went to college, they've been out of college for 2 years in a corporate role, they realized they didn't even really want to go to college, but they were forced to, and then they're like, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore. They'd be like, again, considering
you've been doing what you don't want to do for the past 6 years. Like, what's slowed you down then from like actually taking action? Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. They'll usually give you some bullshit excuse. Now, if they said they had fucking cancer and they couldn't do anything about it, they'll be an asshole, right? But most of the time, they're going to give you some bullshit. And what that looks like is, how are things different? And you're going to say, how are things different now that has you looking to try again? They're going to give you some bullshit here as well, right? So you're going to get an excuse on what slowed them down from taking action. How are things different now that has you looking to try again? They'll give you an answer, and then you're going to make sense because I share a perspective on that because I've really been there before. All right, and we'll get into that here in a moment. So when we say what slowed you down then from taking action for the past few years, why this is so important, because this is going to be the objection. Now, a lot of times this is going to be surface level, okay? I haven't had time. I haven't had money. I haven't had XYZ, right? You're either going to get resources, something logistical, or you're going to get something fear. It's just as you would get at the end of the call where it's either logistical fear or smoke screen. This is what you're going to get here, and you're going to uncover it, right? Like, I just didn't know about it. Really, you didn't know about it, or was it not urgent enough, right? So it's like, if someone says they didn't know about it, or they weren't aware that they had a need, and then you would be using it that it wasn't, you'd use that it hasn't been urgent enough, right? And then you got to stress urgency. If they're like, oh, I didn't have money, I didn't have time, then you would use the resources reframe, right? If it's actually resources, or if it's like something genuinely drastic, then that would change how you would dictate this as well, right? I usually would just go into urgency then. Like, for example, if they had fucking cancer, like, I would genuinely just be like, instead of how are things different as you're drowning, well, obviously I have fucking cancer, so that's why. The question you got to ask yourselves: what happens if we continue to allow cancer to prevent us from doing something about our situation? Well, then you don't want to do that, right? So that would obviously dictate how this conversation would go. But traditionally, you're not going to get that. So, like, I don't even know why I'm going down that spiel. Let's get back on track, right? So what slowed you down then from taking action on your goals for the past 3 years? Oh, I didn't have the time. Okay, like, how are things different now as you're looking to try again? Well, I just realized, like, I have a limited amount of time on Earth, and now it's time to take this serious. Well, boom. Now we know. They gave you time as the excuse. Now they said, like, they're still in their job, but it's more of a need now. Now we understand that they've known they've needed to make a change. They've been wanting to do something for however long they said they were having problems with. But in the past, they used time as an excuse. And the reason they used time as an excuse is because they didn't prioritize their goals or actions enough. And that's really what it's going to come down to, is like, people do what they prioritize and that they fucking need to make happen. And these people haven't had the need to do it. So when you really need to stress them that they need to make this change, or else their life is going to basically never change, or it's going to decay, and they're not going to get the results they want out of life. Do they want that? No. Why not? Because of XYZ. That's why I don't want this to happen. Are you actually willing to make a change? Yes, I'm willing to make a change. Are you sure you don't have to? Most people don't. Yes, I actually am sure. Okay, and then now we can help you. Right? That's kind of how this would go. Right? So they're going to give you some bullshit excuse here. You say, what things different now as you're trying again? You say, makes sense. Can I have a perspective on that? Because I've literally been there before. So this part of the call is where you're going to go into a reframe. Right? You can either go down this track. If you see how XYZ thinking is kind of put you in the same position, right? Because thinking back over the X amount of time, what have you lost because of this way of thinking? A lot of time, money. Yeah, next question you ask yourselves now: what happens if we continue to allow this way of thinking to prevent us from doing something about our current situation? Stay in the same spot, right? So you're actually willing to overcome that way of thinking and start taking action? Yes. Why now? Okay. So I'm going to have a document attached with the different reframes I like to go through, but going through the reframes right here that I have below listed, if they give me something like, for example, that they just have like a time thing, right? Then I would go into either a resources reframe, right, which is usually be used for money, but with mainly this is like if they haven't made it a priority. Or I can do the 4,000 dots analogy, where they haven't like actually, understood that they don't have a limited amount of time. Right, so if they give me time, sometimes I'll go into a resources reframe, but predominantly I'm going to go into the 4,000 dots analogy, which is a little bit more of like darker psychology, where I basically say I have a calendar in my room and it has about 4,000 dots on it. Do you know what those dots represent? No. Each dot, and like according to scientists, man, when they did a study, an average human lives for about 4,000 weeks. That's an average being across the whole world. So I have a calendar that has 4,000 dots. Every time a week passes, I go up the calendar and circle a dot. And so right now, man, you said you're 40, right? Yeah, I'm 40. Okay, so if you have 4,000 dots, 2,000 of them are gone. I hate to break it to you, 2,000 dots, another third of your life is going to be sleeping. So 2,000 minus 750, you're at 1,250. Now 1,250, another 250 are going to be, gone away, eating, sleeping, using the bathroom, right? Which pretty much leaves you with 1,000 dots, man, and that's it. And then life is done. How many dots have you filled in knowing you're not where you want to be, but not knowing you're not where you want to be, but not taking the action to get where you want to go? Right. This is something dark you can use, and it works, right? But generally, the reframe is going to be around, time or money as the excuse. It's usually going to be a logistical excuse, but sometimes they will give you a fear, right? They will give you a fear, and then that's where you can go into a way of thinking. Okay, and then way of thinking, you can still use this as a way of thinking. Now, you can use this as perspective. You can use this as a way of thinking. That's why I really like this island analogy, right? You can also come down to the objections, which I'll have listed, and you can use one of those reframes as well. So slot in whatever reframe is appropriate based on the situation you get, right? So reference the objections guide to understand like what answers people give you and how that works, and how this would make an impact, right? But generally, you're usually going to get time, money, fear of failure, it wasn't urgent enough, and you need to handle those accordingly. So if they give you time, stress, urgency, what happens if they don't take action? If they give you money, what happens if you continue the lack of money to be a reason as to you don't see success, right? You can go down a resources reframe there. If they give you fear of failure, go into a mindset reframe, handle fear, or something new came up and now it's just a need, right? Then we stress that they haven't prioritized that enough in the past. Okay, so you could just go down this normal talk track and not introduce a reframe, which is fine. I traditionally would slot in a reframe here, but this works. So kind of going into example, right, of what this would look like. We asked them this question. Okay, then before you started speaking to me, have you tried like other online business models or coaching programs? Like, what have you tried so far? This is a day trading program, right? Oh, nothing yet. Okay, man. Like, what slowed you down then the past 3 years from like taking action on day trading? Oh, well, I just haven't had the time. I got you. Like, how are things different now? I was going to try again. Oh, well, I've kind of been in my 9 to 5 now for 5 years, and I'm just sick of it. I'm ready to get out. Okay, I got you. Like, that kind of makes sense. But is there any like share perspective on that? I've been in your situation before, man. Yeah. Go ahead. Okay, I got you. So, can you see how potentially us just kicking the can down the road, essentially, right? And like not really prioritizing getting out of our 9 to 5 has put you in the position where you're stuck in your 9 to 5 for the past 5 years, and then now you have the need to get out of it. Yeah. So like looking back over the past 5 years, man, like what have you lost because you haven't prioritized your goals? Oh, well, X, Y, Z, this and that. Yeah. Well, I get that, man. But like, what have you actually lost? Oh, like time, money. All right. So like the question we got to ask ourselves now is like, what happens if we continue to not prioritize our goals and we keep that from preventing that, and that ultimately prevents us from getting to like 10K a month. Oh, well, I'll stay in the same position. I'll be in my 9 to 5. Yeah. So like this time around, are you actually willing to overcome that way of thinking and start taking action? Yes. Why now? And then they'll go into why now, right? The reason you ask why now here at the end is you why, which explains, and then now is the most important word in sales. So this is the most important phrase in sales, which is why now. So this explains why they need to take action today, which is great because they're stressing urgency and ultimately taking action. So you go into the reframe here. The reason you ask like you're asking for permission, by the way, on giving them a perspective is because if you just start telling them what to do and how to do it, it's going to sound fucking weird. Or if you just call them out on their situation instead of having them answer questions that ultimately lead them to understanding, okay, this is what's held me back, then it's just not going to stick, right? Because if a salesperson tells you, it's bullshit. If the client says it, it's fact, all right? So if they say it, it's true. If you say it, it's bullshit a lot of the time. So if you can just kind of ask them questions that guide them to say what you were trying to get across the whole time, it's going to go a long way. Okay, so if they come in here and you're just like, your life is this and that because of this and this and that, they're like, who the fuck are you? Right? But if you ask them like, well, do you see how this could possibly like do this and that? Yeah. So what happens if this happens? All right, then this happens. Okay, then this and then that. And you're basically guiding them on how to think. Okay, and you're reframing their mindsets where they're opened up to purchase, right? So like this is once again such an important stage because It's also mindset shifting. It can be life changing a lot of times, right? Like people aren't even aware of what's going on, or like they don't know how to fucking think. So you're basically teaching them how to think on this, which is pretty cool. It's very powerful once you learn this stage. So it makes sense because I love to share perspective. Been there before. All right. Can you see how this way of thinking is kind of put you in the same position? This is when they're open and saying, like, yeah, I guess my way of thinking, my way of doing things, what's held me back in the past has kept me in my exact position. All right. And then they're like, oh shit. Well, if I keep thinking this way, then I'll stay in this position. What have you lost because of this way of thinking? This is where they get to the sunken cost, right? What are the costs that I've had? What have I paid as a result of not paying into a coaching program and getting help? Well, I've lost time, I've lost money, I've lost experiences. Okay. And then that's when you go into the question we got to ask ourselves, what happens if we continue to allow this way of thinking, right? Whatever's prevented them from having success, to prevent us from doing something about the situation. So this gets them to understand that like nothing changes if nothing changes. Okay. And that's kind of scary, right? If they've obviously had a pain, we've stretched out in the problem awareness stage. And then we understand that their reason for not buying in the past has ultimately kept them in the same spot. And then we know if they don't make a change, they're going to stay in the same spot. Now they're like, oh shit, I want to make a change, right? So that's when we get their willingness to actually make a change and start taking action, which obviously they're going to say yes when you ask them, or this time around, you actually want to take action? They're going to say yes, and then you go into why now. Then they're going to explain why they need to make a change now. Okay, so this is a super, super solid framework to use. Super good ways to handle objections before they come up. And like I said, this is something that you're going to kind of have to tailor based on the answers and the reframes. There isn't like a one size shoe fits all here. The general idea of this stage is to uncover underlying beliefs. And these are ultimately the beliefs that's kept them from making a change in their life. So we need them to acknowledge that and then be open to a new frame of mind. So now we come into the I've tried XYZ path, like they actually tried before, right? So you're going to ask them what type of results did you get with that, right? So you can kind of see their past experience. Now, what you're usually going to get here is they had a bad experience, or they're going to try to shift the blame on something else, right? Let's say they went to a program where the results were good, but they just didn't try or apply themselves enough. We need them to express that, right? And then put the responsibility back on them, and then get their willingness to try again, and have them understand the reason they have success in the past is they didn't try, and if they tried again this time and fully committed, that they would see success. Okay, and that shifts the blame away from the program. Or if they genuinely just had a bad program, then we need them to understand the reason you didn't see success was because of the program, not you. And that if the program was good and everything was all right, then would you be seeing success? Yes. And then we go into like a reframe there we can have, which we use the girlfriend reframe, right? It's like if you had a bad experience with the ex, do you let that keep you from getting a wife? No, why not? Go down that track, right? So let's kind of walk through this real quick. I tried XYZ we asked them a question. Have you started speaking to me before you started speaking to me? Have you tried any other business or coaching programs like this prior? If so, what have you tried? Oh, I tried this and that. Okay, like what type of results did you get with that, man? Oh, I didn't get any good results. All right, I got you. But like, were there other people in the program getting good results? Yeah, they were. Okay, so like if other people are getting good results, what do you feel slowed you down from getting results in the same program? So this like the reason we're asking where are you in are other people in the program getting good results, because this will delineate if it was a program problem or a them problem. If other people were getting results in the program, it's a them problem. All right, so then you would tackle accordingly. Then the reason we ask what do you feel slowed you down from getting results in the program, this is their excuse as to why they didn't win. All right. So usually it's going to be bullshit. You're very rarely going to get a genuine reason. So that's when you would go down the same exact reframe we have here. All right. Now, usually it's going to be something as I didn't prioritize it enough. I didn't take it serious. I didn't apply myself. I didn't listen. Okay, so that's when you would go down this reframe. All right, so very similar to the last one. That's why we're not going to spend too much time here. They give you a genuine reason, handle that accordingly. Right, a genuine reason would be, oh, I ran out of money because I had a life event come up. That really screwed me over. I had to spend $10,000 on a vet bill or some bullshit, right? Like that would be like, okay, that's valid. All right. But usually it's going to be like, oh, I just didn't have the money to spend time, or I didn't have the time for it. I was busy with this and that. Well, you didn't prioritize it, right? So going from there, going to like the no track. So there wasn't a single program getting good results. All right. I mean, I guess there were some getting good results. Then you pivot back here. But if they're like, no, I mean, because I like to add a little bit of humor then here. It's like, oh, I got you, man. Like, I mean, I guess that could possibly be the reason why it didn't work out, because it wasn't a good program, you'd think. Yeah, I guess there weren't really good results. Yeah, and I know like a lot of people don't try to like don't intend to try things after they had a bad experience in the past, but like what actually has you looking to try again? Then they'll explain like you get that same exact answer, like what's changed on what has them looking to try again, right? Like, oh, this and that happened in my life where I realized this and this. Okay, yeah, no. Then you go into like what the reason they got. I've been in your shoes before, but I always like to ask people who are put in these positions these questions. And then you go into the girlfriend reframe, right? So exactly right, because I've been in your shoes before, but I always like to ask people who are put in these positions this question. Have you ever been in a relationship where you thought everything was going to go great, but maybe she cheated on you or ended badly? Most people are going to say yes. After that, did you just completely stop looking for the next right one? No. Why not? Oh, because of this and that. Yeah, and the question we got to ask ourselves now, man, is like, what happens if we continue to like a bad experience in the past, or like a bad ex-girlfriend, for example, to prevent us from doing something about making a change, or to get like 10K a month, right? Or because of XYZ scenario, right? And then you continue going down the chalk track, right? Same exact thing. It's just if the program is genuinely not good, you'd go down to the girlfriend reframe, relationship reframe. And if the program was good, they just didn't see results because of themselves, then we'd handle like what kept them back from seeing the success in the program due to themselves, right? What was that reason? What happens if you continue to allow that to prevent you from seeing success? You go down that path, all right? Now, if they got good results in the program, this is going to be handled differently. Good, what was good, what worked well? Oh, this and that works good. All right, like what was missing? The reason you do this, once again, is the same exact thing we did last time, the problem awareness, is if you just ask them what was bad about it, it's going to sound a little like you're like a dickhead, an asshole. You don't really care, right? But if you ask them, yeah, well, it was good, man. Like, what worked well with it? How'd it go? Oh, well, this and that was good. Awesome. It was this and that. Yeah, I got you. So, like, I guess what was missing then? Like, why are we even have this conversation if it went so good? Oh, well, it was a long time ago. This and that. There was a problem with this and that. Why? How come? Oh, because of this and that and this and this. Okay, how long have you noticed that was going on for? Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. All right, what did you do to fix that? Oh, nothing. Okay, I guess let's slow you down then, like for taking action on that. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Right? So like the whole purpose of this good talk track, like what type of results did you get with that? Is just to get them to understand that like it wasn't that fucking good and they really haven't taken action on fixing it, right? Because there was obviously something that went wrong with the program, and they haven't made a change on that. So like, why haven't they made a change on that? And then we have them go exactly back down this reframe. So the whole purpose here, once again, is just to associate their way of doing things and the way that they believe and make decisions with the reason they're in their situation, and be open to a new way of thinking and a new way of making decisions. That way they could change their situation. All right, and then from there you would lead into ideal criteria. I hope this was helpful. Once again, there is a reframe guide down below. That way you can like look through it and make adjustments accordingly, right? And obviously we can mock and role play this. This is one of the more skillful parts of the call. It's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more contextual, but once you nail it, you nailed it. All right, this is something I'm still working on to this day. Okay, I didn't feel like I really started not nailing this in until the past like 3-4 months, and I've been doing this shit for a while. So, don't feel bad if this is like a struggle for you right now. Just continue the practice and eventually you'll get it down. All right, what's going on? We are back with the ideal criteria stage of the closing framework. So the ideal criteria stage is super short, guys. This one won't take long. We just got through the 2 longer ones, which is problem awareness and pre-handling, which I really want you to work on. Ideal criteria, nothing too crazy. All right, so basically, when it comes to ideal criteria, you're just wanting to establish the buying values that the client has, so that when you go to the pitch, you could tailor it specifically. So mostly with info products, we're going to be doing a 3-pillar pitch, which I'll go over whenever we get to that stage. But essentially, it's going to be group coaching. All right, and then from group coaching, you have either or one-on-one coaching, right? Whichever you're doing. So you'll harp on the actual coaching and access. And then you have community, right? So being a part of other people within the group or community access like that, or text access one-on-one to the creator. And then from there, you'll get into the curriculum. And if you have any bonus incentives, cool little knickknacks or unique mechanisms your offer has, you can tailor that in as well. But that being said, we are just going to establish buying triggers here. The reason for this is because if someone comes to us and we're selling a weight loss program, for example, and they're a vegetarian, and we're pitching them on our pitch. We're talking about, what type of proteins they get. They get these lean proteins, or they get to eat whatever meat they want, right? Or they get to eat whatever cake, dessert, whatever it is, but they're vegan, vegetarian, whatever the hell they are. It's just not going to resonate, right? But versus if we establish that here, when we go to our pitch, we'll have vegan-friendly desserts, vegan-friendly meals with sufficient protein. All of that said, let's get into it. So whenever we pivot from pre-handling, we go into, okay, then let's do this because I want to make sure what we do actually works for you. What type of training or support are you looking for help with in this program so you can get the right help to where you want to go? Super simple, right? This is an easy segue. Okay, then let's do this then because I want to make sure what we can do can actually work for you. The way we're structuring this is we're trying to make it as if we're on their side after we reframe their mindset, right? What type of training or support are you actually looking for within this program so you can actually get the right help to get where you want to go? So this is obviously saying like, what type of help do you need? A lot of times they may be confused here. Then you can just specify, like how do you actually like to learn? How do you usually learn best, and what information are you looking to learn? Okay, we usually want to separate what are they looking to learn and then how they like to learn it, because that'll change, right? The information and then the learning style. Because if there's somebody who doesn't like courses, they want one-on-one coaching, then we're going to obviously treat them different than if they like really just want some course curriculum and stuff to guide them through as they, build out their business, right? For example, I had a guy who came in, 8-figure business owner. He just wanted a course curriculum to hand off to one of his employees. All right. He didn't really care to have coaching. So that's a lot different than if I'm coming in here and, I have someone who's really wanting one-on-one hands-on training and they need all the information they can get, right? I'm going to change my pitch based on that. So once again, this is how it also asks the question. I'll rephrase it. Okay, let's do this then, because I want to make sure what we do can actually work for you, right? So what type of training or support are you actually looking for within this program so you can get the right help to get to where you want to go? Oh, well, I'm actually looking to get X, Y, Z and this and that. Okay, and how do you want us to teach you that? I mean, I'm more so meaning, how do you learn best usually? Oh, well, I like to learn this way and that way, right? The way they're talking about, I want feedback, accountability, one-on-one, group coaching, whatever it is. And then from there, we'll go into why that's important. Or if they're like, I don't really know, I'm figuring that out. Yeah, no, I got you, man. But think back to school, right? Are you like a one-on-one person, a group coaching person, or video person? I'm more of a one-on-one person. Boom, now we know how they like to be taught. So now we know what to put emphasis on in our pitch and what to glaze over. Okay, because if they were like, I don't really like courses, but I like being a hands-on coach. Like, yeah, I know you mentioned earlier you're not really like much of a course guy, which is fine. I mean, I'm me myself, I got squirrel brain, so if you give me a course, tell me to figure it out, I'm going to be lost. But what we have in place for that is actually the guided coaching, the one-on-one hand-holding, right? So we'll tell you what to do and how to do it and when to do it. So that way you're never really second guessing. That's an easy way you could segue off of that, right? Versus they like curriculum, you'd be like, and then also, or if they say they like curriculum, right? You'd be like, what we have is a super intensive curriculum, basically giving you every single thing to do and then when to do it, right? In a chronological format. So that way you're not always having to ask us questions. But that being said, we are actually there to support you, right? That's where the one-on-one coaching comes in, and then you pivot that. And that's how you do the three pillar pitch segue. And we'll talk about that more on the pitch sector, but these two are kind of tightly intertwined. Ideal criteria in the pitch. All right, then going from there, once we understand how they like to be taught, then we go into, okay, and then that feedback and accountability, why is that so important to you? Like why now though? And the reason we do it like this is because we really want to stress on the why now. Why is that important to you? Oh, because if I could get that, then it would help me do this and that and this and this and this. It would change my business in this way, or it would change my skill set in this way, allowing me to make that money. Perfect, right? So how you say this is going to be super important. So how I like to say it once again is, okay, then that feedback and one-on-one coaching, why is that so important to you now though? Oh, it's important to me because this and that. And then give you the answer, right? And then you can be like, okay, and anything else besides that? I just want to make sure that we're getting you exactly what you're needing. Once again, positions you as on their side. Usually they'd be like, oh no, that's about good. Everything's fine. And then we'd go into the next stage, which would be future pacing, cost of inaction before your pitch. All right. So that's it for the ideal criteria stage, guys. Hope this was helpful. And yeah, see you in the next one. Okay, guys, now we are on the future pacing segment of the call. This is probably my favorite part of the call. I really enjoy like learning more about what somebody wants to do and how it would really make them feel about when they achieve things. So this is also a quick little secret then. That being said, is like if you really care about your prospect and what they're doing and what they're achieving, and you actually give a fuck about their goals, it's going to show. And when you're really on their side, they love it. All right, so going from there, man. Going into cost of inaction, income goal, tangible goal, emotional goal. Building the gap, all this sorts of stuff, right? Future pacing is as I said, my favorite part of the call. And once again, you're getting an income goal, which is how much money they're looking to make. How does that tangibly impact their life, like lifestyle wise? What would that do for them, right? Would they be able to help their family out, whatever it is? And then how would they feel if they were able to achieve that? So the emotional out goal as well. Okay. So getting into it. So let's say you got the one-on-one coaching, accountability feedback, whatever they gave you in the ideal criteria stage. If you want to go back and look at that, go ahead, as to what their buying value is. So, okay, let's say you get the buying value. How much would you want to make with this business model? Maybe like the next 6 months from now, right? So once again, I will ask this in a better tone, but before I do that, I'll explain why we ask this. So let's say they're able to get the buying value. All right. Okay, because that's what they said is missing. That's what they need help on. That's what they need the most help with. How much you would be making with this business model in maybe like the next 6 months? So the way we're saying it in the next maybe like the next 6 months is it's like we're just playing around with a hypothetical here, right? And it's easy for them to give us this answer. If we're saying, yeah, maybe like the next 6 months from now. And 6 months is a good period of time for them to see some results, right? Not too long, but not too short. Okay, so let's say I'll say it in the way I would usually say this. Okay, man, like let's say you then get that one-on-one coaching, right? The accountability, that way you can actually learn the objection handling and find the opportunities you need as well. I guess like how much would you want to be making with this business model in like, the next 6 months from now? And then you'll get your answer. Okay, I don't know however much I can honestly, or anything below 10K a month, you'll go down this track. The reason that is because that's not big of enough gap. If they're making at least 8, 10, 15K a month, they're making like 2 or 3 right now, right? That's a big enough gap for them to make a change. Okay. So let's say they give you a small answer, right? Like it's 5K a month, 3K a month, 5K a month to be able to replace their 3K a month job. Then you would say, oh, come on, man. Is that like the humble goal or the real goal? Like, what do we really want? And then they'll give you that. All right, like, I don't even really know what's possible with this type of stuff. I'm not really sure what I can even do in that time frame. That's when knowing case studies also comes into play, right? So whenever I ask this question, if I know they don't really know much about this, I'll even reference a case study of a top performing student. Or if they give me a low goal and I go into asking it again, like the humble or real goal, I'll give them, a glimpse as to what the ceiling looks like. So, example, how this would play out. So I'll say in the first question what the context. Okay, man, let's say we get you that one-on-one coaching and help you find the opportunities. That way you can actually land your dream sales role. How much do you want to be making with this business model in like the next 6 months from now? Oh, I don't really know. No, just giving you more context, man. I get it. But like the top student right now is John, and he was able to get to 30K a month in his first 6 months. So that being said, where do you want to be at? That's a way that conversation can play out, right? Or if they say, oh, I want to make like 7K a month. Oh, come on, man. Is it like the humble goal or is that what you really want? Because just being honest with you, most students are getting between XYZ and that. And then top student right now is John. He got the 30K a month in 6 months. Oh, well, that being said, I think I'd want to go for at least 15K a month. All right, perfect, man. I love it. And then you go from there. Okay, so don't accept a low answer and want to make sure that they're really thinking ahead and what would really build a big impact in their life, because that's going to fall into everything else, right? If we can have a high income goal, then the tangible impact is going to be high, and that means there's going to be a lot of emotionality in it, which means we can really build the gap. We can get them all the way up here, and then when we do the cost of inaction, there's such a contrast. So this is really important. Don't settle for 5K a month. Like, fuck that, bro. You don't want to make 5K a month. How much you really want to make? You know what I mean? So going down from there, it's 10K a month or above. And then we would ask this question this way. Okay, and like getting to a point where you are making 10K a month, how would things be different for you at that point? Like, what would you be able to do then that you're not able to do right now? Oh, well, I'd be able to travel, do this, do that. So the good thing here is what we're doing is we're now getting a tangible impact. All right, this tangible impact is really important. Okay, so that's why we go for the big income goal. What's the number? And then what intangible impact is this going to have on their life? Right, because making 10K a month for 10K a month's sake isn't shit. But making 10K a month's sake, 10K for retiring your mom's sake, if you're living in a third world country, is massive. Okay, and if they give you a seems nice to have answer, like, oh, I want a couple cars, be able to, go on vacations, have steak dinners, get a Rolex, it's not the most strong answer ever. We really want a strong driver here. We want something that hits home emotionally, not something basic. Okay, so if they give you like a basic ass answer or something that's like not really strong, then we're going to have to get them to get a strong driver, right? So let's say they say, oh, I just want to upgrade my car, go and have steak dinners every once in a while. Okay, cool. And is that like a nice to have, man? Like, is that like an actual strong driver for you? Oh, it's a nice to have. Right, right. Because like, if you're actually going to take a risk to get out of your comfort zone, man, like there needs to be something there that gets you even on those bad days, right? That keeps you going. So, what does that strong driver look like for you then? And then they'll give you the strong driver, right? So the reason you want to get the strong driver, once again, tangible impact. Okay, how's it tangibly impact their life? Is that an actual strong driver for you? Clarify that it is, and then we go into the emotional impact. So going back here, we ask the question in a conversational tone. We make sure that they are actually giving you a large goal, right? A larger income goal than where they're currently at, so we can build a big enough gap. Because if we have a larger income goal, then that's going to be it's going to have a larger tangible impact, right? Which means we have a larger tangible goal, and then from there that'll have more of an emotional impact, which means a larger emotional goal, which once again is helping us create the gap on the call. All right. So going into the emotional goal segue, right, where we're transitioning from strong driver, we now start probing. Okay. This is where we dig into it. This is really fun. So let's say, oh, well, it'll help me retire my mom and do this and that and be able to travel. And yeah, I mean, I got you. And I know this might sound like kind of a silly question, but it is important. Like, why is that important to you personally? Like, what would that do for you to be able to retire your mom and be able to travel? Oh man, that would words can't even describe it. No, I got you. Like sometimes you leave you speechless, but like try to describe it in your best words, bro. Oh well, but that case then, my mom, she worked so hard for me, she did this and that, and if I could travel, it means I'd be able to have more experiences. You only get one life, whatever the hell they say, right? And then from there, you keep going. Okay, now we go into the identity. All right. Okay, and being that guy or girl that can be able to travel and retire your mom, right? And they feel XYZ. Oh, no, my fault. Being that guy who can go travel and do what they want when they want, right? And also retire their mom. How would it make you feel being that guy? Boom. What's the emotional impact? How are you going to feel emotionally when you get that? It will make me feel amazing, bro. I don't even know how to describe it. Right. Right. And if amazing and honestly speechless is how you feel when you get there, how do you feel at the moment? Like not having those things. Oh, uh-oh. This is where it's like, oh shit. This is where the contrast kicks in, right? This is where we get a couple little questions before we segue into like, cost of inaction, right? So we're future pacing here. So we're getting this emotional impact. We're still probing here. This is all this is. A lot of people will say like, we'll end up going down this motivational track after we dig here, but we want to make sure they're digging in the pain. So, after they give you this amazing answer, because like, here's the thing, we have them hyped up as fuck. And so a lot of times they'll stay in a positive mindset here, but we want to make sure that we're keeping them on a negative track. And I know it sounds fucked, but that's where you're going to really create the contrast. So like, how would it make you feel being that guy? I don't even know how to feel. Right. And if amazing is how you feel when you get there, man, how does it feel at the moment not being able to do those things? Oh, I feel super motivated. Like I'm just ready to make a change in my life. Like I there's not a negative thought in my mind. Yeah, of course, man. I doubt you're grateful for the opportunity and like appreciate for what you got, but you're not doing it at the level you want to. But would that be fair to say? Yeah, I'm definitely not, but I'm still motivated. Yeah, that's fine, right? So like my question is more so like, how do you feel like knowing you're not at the level you want to be at? Oh, it just motivates me to keep me going and this and that. Yeah, right. And then if they keep going down this track here, that's fine. Okay, there's a way we can handle this later on the call, but a lot of the times they're not going to do this. But sometimes you will get somebody who's like fucking happy as can be, and then they like, oh, I'm all good, right? Like I have a guy who I closed, a lawyer, and he was super giddy, and he paid 5K for a program. We didn't really dig into paying too much, right? And how you can bring it back up is down here in the cost of inaction stage, but we're still in the future pacing sector. So that's how you kind of handle that talk track. But if they feel terrible, right? Well, let's say, man, I feel bad. I would feel awful about that. And how long has that been there for? Like to where you feel terrible? 2 years. 2 years? Yeah, 2 years. Okay, and like Billy, you've been feeling terrible, man, for like the past years. Just being real here, because I really do want to help you. You seem like a really nice guy. Like, what's that doing to you? Have them elaborate. Okay. So once again, just kind of going over this. We are first uncovering their income goal after a casual question, after we segue from the pre-handling stage. They then give us a small goal or a big goal. If they give us a small goal, we make them make it bigger. If they give us a big goal, then we then go down to here. We get a tangible impact. How would that actually impact their life? They give us that. All right. And is that nice to have, or is that actually a strong driver? If it's just some chill shit, then we got to get them to give us a strong driver so they actually have an emotional investment into this. Once we get that emotional investment, we dig into that. We have them understand what it would feel like to be able to experience those things, what it's like not being able to experience those things, right? How long have they been feeling like that negative feeling of not experiencing it? And like, how's that impacting them? Okay, now we really got the emotional impact down, and then we segue into more of the cost of inaction. All right. So that being said, hope this was helpful. And once again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. See you on the next one.
Hey, what's going on? It's Miguel, and today we're going to be going over cost of inaction. So cost of inaction is basically creating the contrast, right? So we went over in future pacing, getting them high up emotionally, and then cost of inaction is going to be on the contrary, right? So we're going to definitely play into the emotions here, and really help them understand the gap from where they are to where they want to be. But simultaneously, what happens if they don't take action and what that gap even looks like, right? Because if right now there's this gap from where they're at and they want to be on a long enough time horizon, if they don't take action, this is going to continue to change and this gap's going to get larger, right? So they definitely need to get that through their head, and that's what we're here for. Okay, so getting into it, and what the skills you have now, within sales, how close are you being to like that guy on a scale of 1 to 10? So the reason we're asking this is we're getting them to understand, like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 is like my goal, I'm a fucking 3. There's a gap there, and I need to make something happen, right? So some people will say, oh, I'm a 7, I'm really there mentally, and then we need to have them understand it's a skill set thing, right? So sometimes you get somebody say I'm pretty close, and you need to be like, okay, 7 out of 10, I got you. And like, hold on, I'm not a math wizard here, but you want to go from 3K, 4K a month, and no network, right, within corporate, to making 10K a month with location freedom and plenty of opportunities. Like, the math isn't mathing, right? Because you're saying you're 7 out of 10, that means you're 70% of the way there. Oh, well, in that case, I guess not. I thought you meant more so this and that. Yeah, no, that makes sense, man. But like, with that in mind, what would you say now? What do you think? No, I mean, I can give you my answer, brother, but it's like more so like where you want to be at, where you think you're at. Oh, I'll look at 3 out of 10. Something like that. That's typically how that would play out, right? So the goal here is to get them to say, I usually want them saying something less than a 5, for big enough gap. I think 4 or 3 is a good range, right? Then you're going to see that mostly on these BizOp offers. The whole point here is like contextualize the gap and have them understand it. Okay, so they really understand the question. All right, so they're going to say they're not that close, right? And then we'll go into this. Yeah, I mean, it's great. We know where we want to go, right? But then there's like the other side of the coin, which is the consequence of like, what if we don't do anything about this, right? Because I'm a big believer that you do have to explore both. Because I mean, people always want to consider success without failure, and that's why they end up failing. So if you never get to experience what it's like to make 10K a month and travel because of whatever objection they gave you in the pre-handling stage, you would go into like, so what if you never get to experience what it's like to achieve XYZ because you keep doing the objection they gave you in the pre-handling stage? I know I kind of chopped that up because I was trying to read it, but like, the whole purpose of this is getting them to understand, okay, I have to think of the negatives. You can't just think of the positives. All right. And you're framing it in a way where it's like to benefit them. And then simultaneously, what is it? We need to play out the scenario of if they never get to achieve it. Because we played out what happens when they achieve it. But what if they never achieve it, right? And what if they never achieve it because of the pre-handle? Like, for example, they said money held them back in the past. So what if they never get to experience what it's like to make 10K a month, travel, help their family, retire, XYZ, all this stuff, because they continue to allow the lack of money to prevent them from getting the skill that would inevitably help them to like never have to worry about the money again. So this is really in conjunction with the pre-handling stage here, and you're going to be using that as context. Okay, so once again, whole purpose here is to use the pre-handle objection that we got in that stage and have them play out what it's like if they never get to achieve their goal, because we just had them play out what it's like if they get to their goal. Okay, so recapping, asking them, on a scale of 1 to 10 where they're at, so we can help create an idea of where the gap is. If they say some bullshit like they're 80% of the way there, or we know they're not, have them really understand the question, right? And ask it and articulate it in a way that helps them understand the gap. And then from there, we need to play it out. What happens if you never get to achieve their goal? Right now, a lot of times they will be saying that they would never let that happen, right? So if they do, say, yeah, I mean, honestly, I would never let that happen. I couldn't even imagine that. Yeah, no, look, man, I don't doubt your motivation at all, right? But at the end of the day, we always have to look at the consequences of if we don't, right? Because we haven't for the past X amount of time, right? So what happens if we this continues for another X amount of time? Or because we haven't in the past X amount of time, so what happens if this continues for another X amount of time? Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Okay, then I don't, doubt your willingness to try, but at the end of the day, who's going to get there faster? The guy who has no ramifications or failure, or the guy who has everything on the line? Right? So for you, what's it actually look like if you don't get there? Excuse me. And then there you go. That's how you would say that and play that out. You could also say, no, I don't doubt your willingness to try, but like at the end of the day, we have the carrot, right? But you also need the stick, if you know what I mean, right? So if you have the carrot in front of you, which was whatever goal they mentioned in future pacing, now we need to understand what it's like with the stick in mind. Okay, because if we can understand both, it's going to really push you to make this happen. So we need to understand that this is a possibility, because think about it. For the past X amount of time, what have we been doing? Yeah, exactly. Right. So what happens if that continues? It's been going on for the X amount of time. Like, what happens if that continues for another X and you don't ever get to that goal? Negative. Right. So this is when you get the negative answer. You get the negative answer here, or whichever way you go down to get it. Then you go into are you willing to settle for that as a reality? Right. So this is, they say what happens. What happened? What if they never experience it? It's always going to be a negative emotion, right? Like, I feel so disappointed. Yeah, and like, are you willing to settle for that as a reality? No, I'm definitely not. Definitely not. All right, so you think it's possibly time to make a change then? Yes. Okay, so this is, we're asking them, do they want that? No, we're clarifying they don't. Do you think it's possibly time to make a change then? Now they're open to making a change. They say yes. Then you give them some pushback to get their tie down. You have them double down on it, right? So yeah, I'm down to make a change. You sure, man? You don't have to. You could just keep pushing this off for another week, another month, another half a year. It's easier that way, right? Yeah, it's easier that way, but I'm not going to do it. Okay, cool. Let's go through the plan then. Right? Or you could be like, you sure you don't have to, man? You keep pushing it off for just another X amount of time, however long they've been pushing it off. Now I got to do this now. Cool. Let's walk through the plan. All right, and then we go into the pitch. But hope this was helpful for the cost of inaction. Nothing too crazy here. You kind of also played on it in this future pacing stage towards the end, but yeah. All right, what's going on, y'all? Today we're going to be going over three-pillar approach. So this is the three-pillar pitch, three-pillar approach to that aspect. So this is not going to be a big, complicated module, especially if you're in info. It's really just course coaching community, and there's some certain incentives, right? So first, let's start with framing before the pitch. So cool, based on everything you told me so far, here's what I map out for you. Let them know this isn't a generic pitch. It's handcraft from what they just told you. You're not selling, you're prescribing, right? So when we talked about in the ideal criteria stage, certain buying values and everything else we compiled throughout the call, this is where you're going to basically weaponize this, right? So a lot of people aren't going to necessarily place emphasis on the course, but if they do, you can kind of spice this up, right? So you can go into first, we give you the step-by-step game plan that's worked for whatever testimonial or client. or you could just give the offer owner, right? So for me, I have people in the program making 50K a month, like very popular testimonials, and I know what testimonials they like prior. So Eddie V, who's a testimonial in my program, for example, right? I'd be like, first we give you a step-by-step game plan that works for that worked for Eddie V, who got the 50K a month you're talking about, just so you're not guessing anymore, right? This isn't going to be some sort of theory and it's what used to work. These are people who are actually in the game, and so it's a plug and play process, right? So you're going to explain this in their language, and how exactly they like to talk and speak, right? So if you're speaking to a more sophisticated audience, it's going to talk different than if you're talking to like a normal kid, like an 18-year-old, right? If they're not self-starters or don't care for course content, just touch it lightly and move on. Don't oversell it, right? Like you're talking about, they're buying values, they're buying triggers. A lot of people literally shit on courses. So like, don't place emphasis on it. You know what I mean? So then we go into the coaching. Then we pair that with real-time coaching, whether you're stuck, need feedback, or want fast track something, you're never left to figure it out alone. Right? If they were talking about they want accountability and feedback, you can place emphasis on that. Right? You post this as direct access, position this as direct access. You know, if you need to do this, you need to do that. Right? This is clarity, speed, and a sounding board. Okay. If they value accountability, this is where you highlight it. Okay. And if they're independent and don't love being handled, phrases like if you want to bounce off of someone who's done this before, you've got that too. Okay. Now we go into community, support, proof, and momentum. And lastly, the people you're in the room with, everybody's building the same direction. So you're surrounded by people who are doing exactly what you're trying to do. These are some even other 6-7 figure entrepreneurs. Cool. Right. So the proximity to success and peer accountability, you are who you hang with, you know, you could always throw that in there. Okay, this is not just a Facebook group. It's curated energy, highlight momentum, norm setting, and access to results in real results in motion. Okay, and if they're more introverted, just emphasize access to insights and proof, you know, not necessarily networking, and you can just type in there and get help. You don't necessarily need to hop on calls with these people. Okay, and then you can really backload the incentives, you know, things like your guarantees, right? Templates, scripts, funnel builds, guest workshops, lifetime access, one-on-one onboarding or bonus calls. You know, you can throw in the guarantee, be selective, only emphasize the bonuses that match their criteria. If they don't care about something, gloss over it with a one-liner, move on. Final notes on delivery: don't overcomplicate you're solving a problem with a simple 3-piece toolkit. Speak their language, mirror their phrasing, pain, and desires. Keep it punchy. 60 to 90 seconds match for the core pitch. The rest happens in Q&A or objection handling. Okay, and once again, we talked about it in the ideal criteria stage. You're going to be emphasizing those points here and tailor this one specifically. Hey, what's going on? It's Miguel, and today we're going to be going over tonality. So overview this module will train you how to leverage the power of tonality to drive emotional connection, increase trust, maximize conversions in your sales conversations based on behavioral science principles. This is your edge for becoming a top 1% closer. So the big thing here is like tonality is going to make a script sound completely different versus the next person. Because if your tone is different than the next person, then it's not even going to mean the same thing, right? My mom always would say to me, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. You know, and that's exactly what we're going to be kind of going over here. The big thing about tonality as well is that it also can make the sales conversations a lot more predictable, because you can place emphasis on certain parts of the question, right? So, for example, it's a long-winded spiel. You're acknowledging someone, but in the same light, you're asking a question at the end of it. If you're quicker and you're talking faster through the parts where you're acknowledging what you're saying, and then you slow down, place emphasis on the question and ask it in a curious tone, in their mind, they're going to place emphasis on that because it's slowed down and there's more emphasis in your speech and your tonality. Okay, for example, like someone tells me their situation and I'm wanting to pivot into a question. You're like, yeah, I mean, I totally understand how that could, you know, impact you because of this, that, and the other. But I guess like why is that like important to you though? Right. So it's a lot more emphasis on that why and then everything after it, versus if you're like, yeah, so I guess I understand what that means for you, man. Like it's definitely this and that. But like, what does that mean to you though? You know, it doesn't hit the same. You don't sound as curious. And can you get the questions across? Yes. And obviously that one's fairly easy. But in certain contexts, it's a lot fucking easier to be able to just place emphasis on certain parts so you get more predictable answers, right? Because if you're getting answers that are all over the place, I mean, fuck, you know, you don't have a predictable process. Like I say, sales is a process-driven activity,
right? And if you're looking for certain answers to go down a certain talk track, like within the framework, then you're going to need to ask it a certain way to get those answers. So section 1, let's just kind of actually run through this. Why tonality matters. Tonality determines how your prospect interprets the intention behind your words. Emotional drivers are triggered not just by what you say, but how you say it. Mastering tonality bridges logic and emotion, getting prospects to open up and sell themselves. Simply put, right? Key insight is if your tone is flat or robotic, even the best question will fall flat, which is true, right? If you're monotone and there's no structure to what you're saying, you're just talking out loud like a robot. Like they're not gonna fuck with you. Like the process, there's going to be no connection there. So you want to sound like a human. Okay, so here are the 5 core tones to master. So first, you have the confused tone. The purpose is to encourages clarification. When the use is when prospects give vague answers or challenging their assumptions. Wait, so you've been with them 5 years and you're not sure they can scale you? Confused, right? Curious tone. Purpose demonstrates genuine interest. When to use is when asking discovery or situational questions. Okay, so I guess like walk me through them. Like, what are you guys doing now to generate leads? You see, the tonality is different. Okay, curious, confused, not to be the same. Okay, they're slightly different. You know, can you get away with switching out one for the other? Yes, and a lot of times you see they overlap. But you see here is the purpose when they use and examples of how to use them. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. You know, obviously we can run through this, you know, see where it lies within your personality, because you just don't want to copy someone else's tone if it's not natural to your normal preset of audio, I guess. Then you have challenging tone. All right, purpose is to create urgency and tension. When to use is mid to late conversation and highlighting consequences of an action. So, example, but what happens if you keep hiring the same underperformers? Like, how do you hit 15 million this year? Challenging, a little more stern. Tone also comes into your face, right? If I'm confused, you can squint and look back like this, right? If you're curious, you kind of can look back, you look up in the air, right? So like, I'll play it again. So confused, go back to that one. Wait, so you've been with them 5 years and you're not sure how they can scale you? Confused. Curious tone is, okay, and I guess like walk me through them. Like, what are you guys doing now to generate leads? Challenging tone. You can kind of set up, yeah, but like what happens if you keep hiring the same underperformers? Like how do you hit 15 mil this year? Tonality is different. All right. Then we go to concern tone. Purpose builds empathy and trust when responding to emotional cues or obstacles. Example, stress. How long has that been going on for? Stress, like how long has that been going on for? Right? One more time. Stress, like how long has that been going on for? You know? Once again, play into the facial features as well. Playful tone. Purpose lowers defense and builds rapport when they use lighthearted intro moments or subtle callouts. Example, just hanging out, being boring over here. What about you? Right? You know, just hanging out, being boring over here. What about you? Once again, face, smile, open body language. Right now, you can't see my whole entire body here, but my shoulders lean back, hands come out to the side. You know, just hanging out, being boring over here. I mean, what about you? The smile, right? It'd be completely different if you're like, just hanging out, boring over here. Like, what about you? Completely different, you know? Tonality mechanics. Here we go. Facial expressions. Your face controls your tone. Your tone must match your expression. Massive. Try to have a confused tone with a challenging tone face. That's not going to do it. Pacing. Sell your questions to allow processing time. Use verbal pauses for emphasis. You're usually going to pause right before you say something, and then you talk slow through it if you want to place emphasis. Body language, gestures, hand to heart, signal, you know, sincerity and concern, you know? Pro tip, watch your favorite actors' tonalities while their delivery lands. It's actually true. You know, if you watch a lot of the top actors, like, it's a key reason why they're so good. And here's some applied scripts by industry, marketing agency. So they're fairly decent. I mean, so what's got you thinking they can't scale you anymore? Ooh, right. Beautiful home. What's got you thinking about selling it?
Life insurance. 100K through work is a good base, but what's got you thinking it's not enough? Staffing. So like, what happens if you don't fix this? Like, how do you expect to reach 15 mil this year with the same team? Practice framework here. I hope these are making sense. I'm running through this. I want you to hear the tone because that's big, obviously. But yeah, give me practice framework. Record yourself reading 5 scripted questions using each tone. Watch and analyze your facial expressions, pacing, delivery. Practice with a role play partner who gives feedback, or we can hop on a call and go over this, or if you just send me your recordings and I'll critique it, however you want to do it. Section 6, final word here. Tonality isn't fluff. It is strategy, genuinely. When paired with the right questions, tonality moves your prospect to emotionally buy in before you ever pitch. People remember not what you said, but how you made them feel. Okay, so your assignment here is to create a 2-minute video using each of the 5 tones, asking the same question, and then you can submit to me, and I'll take a look at it. If you can't do this and you want to hop on a call, that's fine. But hope this was helpful.
All right. Here we go. We're going to be going over the partner objection. This is partner objection number 1. Handle. Super simple, guys. Just wanting to get this across to you when it comes to partner objections. A lot of the times this is bullshit. Don't think of it as logistical. It is usually fear disguised as partner. They're trying to shift the responsibility away from them. Now, are there cases where it's genuinely a logistical partner objection? I think it could be the case if it's a big investment, but I would always just have them looped into the conversation and also have them understand, hey, look, if you go to talk to them about this, and you try to explain yada yada yada, how do you think that's going to go, right? And I'll make a video separately on that specifically, but we want to get them on our side first, and we also, we have to get the partner in the conversation. We want them to be well equipped and understand how to go about that conversation as well. That aside, let's go ahead and tackle this in the case that this is a fear, which is typically going to be the case. So you would start out with this. I'm just going to read through this, and so that way you can hear it. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I'll kind of explain to you why this works as well. All right. And we're like, I need to, sounds good, man. I need to just go speak to my partner. That's fine, right? So we need to acknowledge and clarify. I'd be like, no, I got you, man. It's definitely a big decision, and just to make sure, partner aside, having a good talk aside, everything we went over today, 10 out of 10 sounds good. Yeah, it sounds good. Okay, so if it were completely free, like you would do it? Yeah, I would say so. But why though? And they'll explain why. Like, okay, got you. Now that we got that aside, man, like, have you actually ever heard of the quote, heavy is the head who wears the crown? No, I don't know. Yes, I don't. I have. Yeah, but like, do you know what it means? Or like, that's all good, man. Do you know what that actually means? No, I don't. Okay, well, man. So it's really just a quote by Shakespeare, obviously really famous back in the day, right? And heavy is the head who wears the crown, and what it pretty much means is everyone thinks the crown itself is the heavy part, right? The jewels, the gold. Okay, but in reality, it's the burden of responsibility that makes the crown heavy. Like, give a pause. Like, okay, yeah. So whether it's you or it's me, we each individually have that burden. As soon as we shift that burden on anybody else but ourselves, we're not in full control of our outcomes or our results moving forward. Yeah, yeah. They'll say that. So whose responsibility is it at the end of the day if you make X amount and achieve whatever the fuck? Whose responsibility is that? It's mine. Why though? Oh, because I'm the man of the house. Yada yada yada. Nobody's gonna come save me, right? Well, look, man. You don't have to take responsibility for your outcomes. You could just let your outcomes other people. Yeah, but I don't want to do that. That's stupid. Right, right, man. So is it fair to put that burden of responsibility on anybody but yourself if you're the one who inevitably actually has to go get the job done? No. But like, why not though? Because at the end of the day, I'm the one who has to do it, so I need to make the decision and be responsible. Right? Because what happens if you can continue putting that burden on somebody else, other than you? Well, then I won't achieve what I want, blah, blah, blah. And what does that mean? Well, then I'll feel regretful and blah, 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 blah. And is that what you want? No. That's what I mean by consequences to the max. All right, you have probing questions here. All right, so once again, because what happens if you keep putting that burden on somebody else? They'll tell you a scenario. Do you want that? No. Why? What does that mean for you? How does that make you feel? Probing questions in general. Okay? That means you're going to consequence it and make it seem worse than it is. I mean, it's not worse than it is. It's genuinely true, but like have them understand that. Okay? And then you'll go into, so what actions do you feel like you need to take to make sure that you put you and your family in the best possible position? You need to take responsibility and send it or do X, Y, Z, or maybe they'll give you another objection, which you can handle. But if they're following the framework and they're, obeying to the frame, then you'll go with, so what are you going to do? Well, we'll make it happen, right? They'll move forward and purchase. Okay, so that is just kind of talking through it. But now we'll go back and see why this works. Okay, so the reason this analogy is so useful in the first place is just we have them understand like the responsibility is the burden. Okay, that is the thing that is is where a lot of the weight lies at, right? That's kind of why the quote works. Okay, and if we have them understand like the responsibility to make things happen is a large burden itself, you know, if that's your responsibility and you dictate your outcomes and you are the one responsible for that, does it make sense to then transfer that responsibility of making that decision to do so and become, in control of your outcomes? Does that make sense? No, obviously it doesn't. Okay. And you can also use man of the house here if it's a dude. Now, if it's a lady, I always like to ask when the call starts if there's anyone like should their partner like business they have a business partner who should be on this call, and then you can handle it then. Because a lot of times with women, it's a little bit more logistical if they don't actually own their money, but you can kind of read that. All right. But the whole purpose of this is to have them understand, hey, look, you're responsible for your outcomes. Does it make sense to shift responsibility and make decisions for those outcomes, even though you're the one that's going to actually have to get this shit done, right? And they're going to be like, no. So that's why this works. And once again, drop in those probing questions here. Okay. Hope this was helpful. And yeah.
All right, so now we're going to get into one of my favorite fear reframes, and I'm just going to go ahead. Oh, my head is massive. Y'all can see this. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and just read through this. All right. And this is off the back of like the money objection, for example. Okay, like when you're talking about fear of money, fear of this, like mainly the fear objections are going to be based around the money. All right. So that's when you get to this. Well, that makes sense, man, because we all make decisions based on our perspective, right? Right. So, well, the problem with that is like if we always are going to be making decisions based off the perspective we have and not the perspective we want, we'll only ever be where we're at now. So, are you potentially open to looking at things in like a different way so you can maybe get a different outcome? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you a question, then, man. Like, do you feel like your mindset affects your decision making? Whatever they say. Okay, and like, are you 100% happy, man, with like where you're at in regards to XYZ right now? Okay, and do you want like the same decision making process to dictate your life and your results moving forward? Why not? Okay, so would it be fair to use the same mindset and decision making process to dictate your future and your results you want for yourself and your family at the end of the day? No. Okay, so given that, man, like what do you think you need to do right here, right now to put yourself in the best possible situation to actually be able to achieve your goal? Right. So obviously, you can play around with this as far as tonality goes, but that's kind of an example of how the tonality would sound with this. Basically the whole purpose of this, right, is to
to get them to think about from the lens of where they want to be at versus where they're at now. Okay, and if they can, I understand that like if they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to get the same results, then they're going to be open to making a change if they make that association. And that's like if you see a common theme throughout the reframes and the framework is a lot of it just has to do with associating their current pain and their situation with where they're operating from, right? Whether it's their mindset, their job, okay, and then being open to something new. And if they genuinely believe that the business model works or whatever you're selling works, and then they believe it'll work for them, they have no limiting beliefs there, then they're more likely to go and take some sort of action. Okay, so hope this was helpful.
All right, here we go. We are going to be going over how to handle time. Now, to be honest, this is something you should pre-handle, and you really should rarely get a time objection, and this is one of the easiest ones to overcome. So let's go ahead and make this one quick and knock it out because there shouldn't really be a problem with this. Okay, so let's say someone gives you time. You'll be like, has there ever been a perfect time to start something big? Like a moment where everything lined up, no distractions, no stress, just free time to go on? Probably not, right? Reason we're giving them this is because it's obvious. Like, there's never been a perfect time for you to just go all in. Okay, so how you're actually going to act this with the real tone so you can kind of see is, now I got you, man, but like, has there ever been a perfect time to like start something big? Right, like a moment where everything lined up, no distractions, no stress, just free time to go all in? Probably not, right? So there you go. So then you'll go into, so the truth is, man, is you're never going to have more time. The people making $30K a month didn't wait for the right moment. Okay, they made it the right moment. So the real question is, man, are you the kind of person who just kind of like lets life happen to you, or do you make things happen for you? And then they may even give you some bullshit, right? Where they'll be like, oh, I'm not saying that. It's just like, I genuinely don't have a lot of time. I have things going on. Like, nah, I get that, man. I don't doubt that you have things going on, but that's not going to change, right? So if we allow time to prevent us from getting where we want to go, where's that going to leave us? They say whatever. Okay, you're going to be like, yeah, so a year from now, same income, same problems, same frustrations, and let's be real, man, is that like a life you'd actually settle for? No. So why not? They'll give you something. Yeah, so let's be straight then, man. Like, are you actually committed to doing the necessary requirements to hit 30K a month, or does it just sound nice? Because if you're serious, that means showing up like someone who earns at that level starting now. And if you're not serious, that's fine too. You just got to own that and live with it, okay? Oh, they'll say something. Okay. So what would the guy who's already at 30K a month do right here, right now, to get to where he wants? Probably take action. So then what are you going to do, man? Then they'll give you whatever. Okay, so a couple little caveats here. You can switch out 30K a month for whatever their income goal is, whatever offer, right? This wouldn't make sense for somebody who's trying to get to 100, for example. Excuse me. Or if someone keeps harping on 10K a month, then you'll use that. Okay. But time is one of the easiest objections, guys. I'm not going to spend too much time here. Just want to kind of give you an example of what the tonality looks like, and, how to talk through this. You really shouldn't have a problem. This is mainly going to be something that's handled within the pre-handling stage, but having this go-to framework in your back pocket is definitely going to serve you well. So if you have any questions on this, don't hesitate to send me a text, shoot me a message, but this one should be pretty straightforward. Hey, what's going on? It's Miguel back again. Another module. Okay, so in this one, we're going to be going over logistical money objection. Okay, so how you're going to attack this is super simple. Okay, you're just going to isolate if it is truly a logistical money objection whenever you get the money objection. Okay, and then from there, you can start breaking down payment plans. All right, but first we have to decide if this is like an actual logistical money objection or if they're just blowing smoke up your ass and give you some bullshit. Okay, because fear-based money objection is treated different than a logistical money objection. Okay, and a lot of times people want to split pay, and that ends up fucking up your commissions because they have fear around it. But that same mindset would end up holding them back in the program. So you typically want to get as much upfront as you possibly can. We need to make sure
that they are really giving you a logistical money objection in that instance. Okay, because if they have 15K in the bank, but they're hesitant to give you 4K and they want to split it up as much as possible, we have a problem. All right. So I'll read this here. It says track below serves the purpose of isolating if it's genuinely a logistical objection and we need to come together for a payment plan, or if it's fear around the money. And this will go over if it's a genuine money / logistical objection and how to handle it. If we uncover at the bottom that it's a fear-based money objection, please refer to the fear reframes as to how to handle that when it comes up, which I'm going to be recording right after. So you can, once you get to the bottom, if you see that it's a fear around the money, then you can pivot into that, which most of the times it is. Okay. The reason you also want to initially go to logistics when you get money is because sometimes people just genuinely need a financial plan or a payment plan. And obviously, depending on your offer, depends on how good of payment plans you have, and lean upon that if you have really good split up options, right, where you end up getting paid in full, but they are still able to split on the back end. But at the end of the day, like, rather than trying to chase them around in a reframe and all this stuff, this fear shit, you can just isolate if it's actually logistics or money right now, and then just go into logistics and handle it without having to lose them. If you're yapping to them about whatever the hell, but they just genuinely need help, then you could lose sales that way. So getting into the reframe here, we go into, so aside from thinking about it, man, like in terms of the program I laid out, do you feel like it can actually get you to where you want to go? Yes. So if it were free, would you do it? Yes. So what we're doing here is we're going to isolate if this is like, the objection is actually thinking about it in itself. And on the last module, we did go over think about it, all right, and how to handle think about it. Because a lot of people say it's a smokescreen, but a lot of times it's actually a genuine way of thinking, which we need to handle and reframe, which I have on there. But that aside, getting into think about it in terms of like money objection, that's what we're doing now. Because most of the time it's going to be given to you as a think about it. Okay, now if somebody says money, you would say aside from money in terms of the program laid out for you. All right, so it's pretty much the same exact thing. You can replace think about it with money. The whole purpose of this is attacking it from the money angle. All right, so aside from money, man, aside from thinking about it, in terms of the program I laid out, do you feel like you can actually get you to where you want to go? Oh, I actually do. Okay, got you. And so if it were free, would you do it? Why would you do it though? So the whole purpose of this is to get them into results-based thinking. All right, because if they're thinking based on the results that they get out of this program, rather than money-based thinking and their initial investment, they're more likely to take action. Because a lot of people get put into price shock, right? If you sit down and you tell them the program's 4K, 5K, I'm not going to say who it is in this program, but they're like, wow, that's a lot more than I thought, right? And then we had to go down this reframe, and it can be a price shock to a lot of people when you're in high ticket. So you kind of want to, get them out of that. All right. And this is how we do it. Okay. Because if we have them, the money aside, the thinking about it aside, do they actually think the program can help them? They're going to say yes, because obviously they got to this point. And if you did your job correctly, you articulated value, you spoke to their pain points. If it were free, would you do it? If someone says no here, you obviously need to do your job. So they're usually going to say yes. And then you go into why would you do it though? So they've expressed they do think the program can help you. Aside from the value, they would do it if it were free. Okay, now we know it's logistical or a money or a fear, like a logistical money or a fear money. All right, why would you do it though? Avoid features and benefits. So rather than them spouting out, oh, because of coaching calls, because of the XYZ, this and that. Okay, we want them to actually say things that are contextual to them and their situation. Right? Because if they're like, oh, the course material seems really good, the way you coach seems awesome, that's not enough. Okay, so if they would give you that, then you don't want to ask them what that would do for them, right? So like, let's say you ask, so like, why would you do it though? Oh, because the course material and the coaching calls seem great. Love it, man. I'm glad that you see the value in that. But like, as far as the coaching calls and the course material, like why would that make an impact for you? Like, what would that change? Oh, well, it would do this and that for me in order to help my progress. Boom. Now that's how you get something a little bit more specific to them. Okay. I hope this makes sense. Recapping, we're getting them into results-based thinking. Okay. We're getting them to understand if it were free, they would do it. So it's, it's definitely a money problem, whether it's fear-based money or logistical money, there's a money issue here. Once we establish that, why would they do it?
get them to get back to the results-based thinking, expressing contextual to them. Avoid features and benefits. All right. Then you would ask, so which is more risky, man? Like you staying where you're at, keeping on making $3K a month and saying, oh, I don't have the money, or overcome that hurdle of not having the money and start aiming for the skills you need in order to get X, Y, Z, whatever they want to get out of their, their money. Oh, well, obviously staying where I'm at. Right. So you not having the money right now, do you feel like that's the problem, or is it rather like a symptom of the problem? And as we can see here, he says, if it says it's a problem, just explain to him that it is the symptom. Okay. And how we would do that, like, let's say, oh, it's the problem. You'd just be like, well, I got you, man. And can I kind of like share perspective on that? It's fine that you say that. Yeah. 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 So like ultimately, how do you make money? They'll give you whatever answer. You'd be like, right. But like, let's say you had the skill set of whatever the business model is, right? For example, let's say you're selling day trading. So if you had a really good skill set within day trading, what would you have more of? The money, right? So look, I can actually help you with the investment part. We have no problem helping you with that, but the commitment is on you. So are you actually committed to showing up every day and putting in the work? Yes, we're committed. I'm committed to showing work. Exactly. So is it more so nerves around the money, or is that we might need a payment plan to help you break things up a bit? And there you go. That's how you determine if it's fear or money, right? And then if they give you symptom, okay, they say it's a symptom. Do you know why though? Oh, well, it's because I'm lacking this and that, and I don't have the skill set. Right. So if you had the skill set, what would you have more of? The money. So I can help you in the investment, blah, blah, blah. So like, once again, if you're getting symptom, ask them, do you know why though? They're going to give you the problem. Okay, then I would just go immediately into, so if you have the skill set, what would you have more of? The money. So I can help you with the investment, but the commitment is on you. Are you committed to showing up? Gauge commitment, right? And then you would go into the binary of, is it fear or is it actually logistical money? Okay, and now recapping this. Get them in the results-based thinking. Okay, put them in the binary of what's a bigger risk, staying where you're at now and without the skill set and making the same amount of money, or finding a way to get the money and reinvesting to get the skill set. Okay, then we have them associate their current situation with them not having the skill set versus them not having the money. Okay, then once they make that association, now they need to understand, I need to get the money in order to get the skill set so that way I'm not in this position again. All right, and then we can uncover if this is truly logistical or if it's fear. Because if they have the money, then we can attack it that way. Hope this was helpful. We'll catch you on the more fear side on the next one. And if they still need to break things up a bit, just handle it however your offer does. Right? If you need help with that on your offer specifically, just give me a shout and I'll make you something custom as far as like how to go about breaking down payments.